on the Game Network.
Here comes the stupidity.
You wanted us? Here we are.
And on 107.5, the Game app.
Six a.m. on a Thursday morning. Bill Gunner, Preston Thorne, and Jen Jensen as we get you up and get you going. Hope you are off and running this morning on what's going to be the start of a really, okay, let me take that back. It's Preston's hump day.
Correct.
For me, it's more like the beginning of the weekend. It's how we do things around here. We all got our different ways of doing it, but I think it's going to be a really fun, exciting sports weekend, and it gets going today with the RBC Heritage taking place here in just a few hours down in Hilton Head. We've got baseball tonight over at Founders Park, the Gamecocks in Mississippi. More NBA play-in games. How about those Heat? I did have a Heat hat I should have worn.
Heat culture.
Heat culture, yeah. We're just not good enough to win a championship, not bad enough to get into the lottery to rebuild the program, the franchise. Very fun times for the Heat. This is where you really love being. So a lot of great things going on, and then we've got a little bit of the negative we're going to have to discuss this morning as we get you up and get you going right after we left here yesterday.
Just missed.
I mean, yeah, just missed. South Carolina basketball gets a double, well, the second dosing of bad news. I think it was, Tuesday that it was Colin Murray-Boyles officially announcing for the NBA draft. I don't know if that was bad news. It may be expected news, but still not good news.
Yeah, you were holding out hope.
Yeah.
There was this slight chance.
You were holding out. And I guess technically he's not signed with an agent, and technically he could return, and yeah. It's a listening medium we do here, which you couldn't see unless you're on the live stream. Couldn't see Preston's face, but Preston's face said it all. Like, yeah, don't cling to that one too tightly. You're probably going to be disappointed. But yesterday, South Carolina loses their top transfer portal commitment, Trayshawn Eaglestaff, and it throws, I think, a lot of things into flux. Preston Thorne, I think it throws a lot of things into flux that we're going to discuss this morning.
Yeah, it's obviously we're going to have some roster talk and have a little bit of conversation. But for all the talk about, signing day is not as fun anymore, and we don't have – decommits are back.
They're still around, yeah.
Decommits are back, Bill. Everybody who doesn't want the excitement, who says the excitement of recruiting is gone, it's back, baby. Decommits.
Well, they're back, yeah, and unfortunately, this is not the way you want them. Back.
Oh, it's not fun when it's
right. Yeah,
when it's yours.
Yeah,
it is fun when he leaves his program.
It's exactly, yeah.
Oh, that's how the portal works.
Yeah. When they go into the portal,
so those poor folks in North Dakota, we don't care about them.
When they go into the portal and come to your program, they're hailed as heroes. When they leave your program or decommit, they are traitors.
Gotcha.
They are not men or women of their word.
Gotcha.
Very suspect characters that you don't want on your roster.
I forgot how that works.
Yeah.
My bad.
Yeah, it's a fine line, Preston, a fine line there in what you're looking for. But we'll talk about that this morning. Paul Maneri last night on Carolina Calls. We'll let you hear a little bit of what he had to say regarding lineup changes and, of course, the pitchers. We'll talk about that. And then later on this hour, Fran Brown continues to speak, and Fran Brown continues to be a quote machine.
Quote machine marches on. He is rising up the rafters very, very quickly as a coach that when he opens his mouth, you will hear him. And I'm very excited about the quote machine. He's marching on.
So we'll get into all of that as we get you up and going. One day away from spring football. We've still got a little bit of Shane Beamer we can get into from Tuesday, some of the things he addressed and what he talked about. So it's all going to be kind of a hodgepodge of stuff as we get you up and get you going this morning. Brad Crawford will join us at 7:30 this morning to talk about what he has heard, kind of also look around the league. Yesterday, the official opening of the NCAA transfer portal. Sure enough, Wendell Gregory and Emory Floyd both in there. We knew that. They had already announced that they were going to the transfer portal, but they entered their names. And Nico, the quarterback from Tennessee, enters his name with a do not contact tab. And then also a lot of just interesting stuff coming out about him yesterday.
Yeah, details leaking out, conjecture again. Who said this is not an exciting time? It's a lot of stuff. All the stuff that we loved about recruiting is back, baby. Decommits, rumors, families, rough parenting. It's all here, baby. Who said it's gone?
Look, this is, and yeah, it feels like we're kind of closing everything out with a bang. Like, kind of like what you said. We're getting all of it in about a 10-day window, a portal window. The portal opened yesterday. All I can think is of Stranger Things, where they're down in the basement of whatever that lab was, and they're shooting a ray into the portal, and it's just they're trying to maintain and keep everything at bay, keep everybody safe, and then everything's broke down right now. The portal is just out here raging, and all kinds of crazy things are happening.
The portal is free-flowing because there's a lot of folks that are in it. To say that.
I saw a statistic yesterday. You want to talk now? That's the football portal that you're talking about, Preston.
True.
That is the football portal. You want a crazy number on the basketball portal? Let me give you this tweet from yesterday because I saw this, and I think I knew. I think I grasped, but maybe I couldn't wrap my head around just how many people exactly are in the portal here for basketball, because this is a tweet that popped out yesterday. Let me go back and find it real quick because I had it right here. That was really interesting. But let me get this here for you and give you the exact number just so you can get an idea. This is from High Major Scoop at High Major Scoop on Twitter /X. Week 3 of the transfer portal. In basketball, let me be clear about this.
Mm-hmm.
You want to just ballpark how many transfers? You want to take just a broad number within 300 of whatever.
I have no idea.
Total transfers in the college basketball portal. Total transfers, 2,050.
Okay.
You know how many are committed? 393. This was as of yesterday. This was as of Tuesday at 6:38.
Okay.
Or Monday. This was Monday. That's what week 3. So as we started the week, 2,050 are in the portal. 393 are committed. That leaves 1,657 guys looking for a spot.
That's good news.
Is this like good news for whom?
Well, we're shopping.
There's a lot of groceries out there.
Back in the market, so yeah, I guess that's good news.
A lot of bargain bin groceries out there. Keep an eye, buyer beware. But think about that for a second. Basketball. This is, again, basketball, not football. Football got going yesterday. Basketball on Monday entered week 3 of the transfer portal being open, and 2,050 transfers out there. 393 are committed. 1,657 are uncommitted. That also feels like a musical chairs kind of thing where players might want to be looking around going, is that a chair over there that I can sit? Is the music about to stop?
Yeah, you walk around and you kind of just get a little bit closer to the chair as you think the person's about to stop the music. This is fun.
Right cheek, left cheek right now. You better get a cheek in there because otherwise you're going to be left out without a chair. So we'll talk about that, though, and what South Carolina does now and how much of a blow this is maybe to what Lamont Paris is trying to do next year. So, again, we'll get into that. Again, we'll get into Paul Maneri. Tonight, we have baseball for you. Again, make sure you go and sign up on our website, the Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union Grand Slam giveaway. If a Gamecock batter hits a Grand Slam tonight, the pot is currently $150, and you can win all the cash in the pot. You just go to 1075thegame.com to get registered, and you can win the Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union Grand Slam giveaway, and that'll lead us into baseball tonight. 6:30 pregame after Carolina calls with Shane Beamer, and then the first pitch will be roughly about 7 o'clock there against Mississippi, right here, 107.5 The Game and 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. So we'll get into a little bit of this basketball discussion here this morning. Kind of where does South Carolina go? What are they going to be doing? This is going to be I've got opinions. There are my opinions. They're not going to be Preston's or Jen's or anybody here at the station or anybody of that definitely down at the basketball facility, but we'll share some of that, and we'll talk a little bit about this decommitment from yesterday as the Gamecocks lose Trayshawn Eaglestaff and what that means. 803-404-6100. You're listening to The Early Game.
107.5 The Game in Columbia, 100.5 The Game in Florence, and 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. The Game Network, powered by Integrated Media. The Game TV, sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. For auto, home, and commercial glass, shepherdsglass.com. In Chapin and West Columbia, The Game TV, sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. Shepherd's Glass. 107.5 The Game, broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevy Studios. You can save up to $20,000 on new Silverados. Stop by or shop online today and see how Herndon Chevy makes you smile. Together, let's drive.
Preston here with the good folks from Integrated Media. We've been trying to tell you all this time that you need to get your outdoor setup ready. Well, guess what? The spring is officially here. It may not feel like it right now outside, but I guarantee you it's going to get warmer, and you're going to want to be spending some of this time outside watching all of the sports that are happening, NBA, NHL, UFL, everything that's happening. You want to get the folks from Integrated Media to get you set up. So you can get Samsung Terrace TVs that are waterproof, or Sonos outdoor speakers that play your TV and your music, Wi-Fi that works indoors and outdoors, so you can have all your screens working at the same time. You can have your phone with your laptop, with your computer, with your big TV, and you can have it all playing at the same time, having all your different devices going, playing all your different sports. So from home theater setup to adjusting your thermostat, maybe it's monitoring your security systems from your cell phone, call the folks at Integrated Media at 803-948-8327. That's 803-948-8327. Or you can reach them online at integratedmediainc.com.
Credit call 888-320-6359 for details. JT at JT's Kia is thrilled to announce for the first time ever $10,000 in customer cash. Use it to pay off your car or lower your payments. Or keep the cash, it's yours. Get 0% for 60 months. And don't miss 2 new Kias for $222 a month. Even if your credit's been turned down before, come see JT. JT's Kia, I-77 at Killian Road, or the new JT's Kia Greystone.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, let's talk ED, because millions of men experience it, but not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. Well, HIMS can help. Through HIMS.com, you can get a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds, through a 100% online process. It all starts with an online intake form. Get started at hims.com/radio, and from there, a medical provider licensed in your state will determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs, with options up to 95% less than the brand names. Millions of men experience ED, but HIMS can help. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to hims.com/radio. That's hims.com/radio for your free online visit. HIMS.com/RADIO.
Big news, Columbia. Brian's Heating and Cooling is turning 20 and celebrating with a deal you don't want to miss. New customers get 20% off any service, repairs, maintenance, or system checkups. That's right, 20 years, 20% off. Brian's is fast, reliable, and always on call, because at Brian's, your comfort is their business. Call now or visit getcoolcolumbia.com. That's getcoolcolumbia.com. Don't miss this anniversary special.
Ever thought about hitting a golf ball in Williams-Brice Stadium? Here's your chance with Upper Deck Golf. Play an epic round of golf inside the stadium from May 8th to 10th. Experience unique golfing by hitting tee shots from the upper deck down to custom greens on the field. Start and end at the Clubhouse Festival with music, beers, food, and golfing challenges. The event is open to all ages, but hurry, because tee times are limited. Visit upperdeckgolf.com for more info. That's upperdeckgolf.com.
Thanks again. Really appreciate you guys.
Where have you been, Roger?
Man, they really are the best hookers in town.
What?
No wonder why they have so many 5-star reviews.
The best hookers in town? You got a ride home from the best hookers in town?
Oh, absolutely. I wouldn't have done it any other way.
What?
I gave them a call, they showed up super quick, and then they brought me and my car home. I mean, talk about service.
You just let me get a look at these so-called hookers. Oh, it's Schroeder's Towing. Oh, they really are the best.
Schroeder's Towing, the best and fastest hookers in town.
And now, traffic sponsored by Wetzel's Automotive on the Game Network.
And traffic for your Thursday. Let's go to Thursday, shall we? Okay, Thursday morning. That's it. Johnson Marina Road at 76. We do have a report of an accident there. Nothing else to report. Awesome news there. 77 and sunny today. 84 tomorrow, and we'll stay in the mid-80s through about at least, just for the foreseeable future. We're going to be in the mid-80s, but starting off a little cooler right now, 45 on the early game.
Former Gamecock Preston Thorne and Jen Jensen on the Game Network and on 107.5, the Game app.
.16 on a Thursday morning, April the 17th, as we get you up and get you going. Bill Gunner, Preston Thorne, Jen Jensen. Got some RBC heritage that we'll get into. Got some spring game football we'll get into. And, of course, we're going to cover a lot of basketball coming up in this segment. But let's get out to the phone lines, 803-404-6100. David wants to weigh in on the spring game this morning. David, how you doing? What's on your mind?
I'm doing fine. With people not wanting to do the spring game because not only does an injury affect your season, but it also means that you get no return on your NIL investment money. And in the spirit of the 2-day WrestleMania event, I propose that we make the spring session a 2-night affair with Friday night, the 3rd and 4th stringers, or the C and D team, whichever you want to prefer to say it, playing an actual game against a junior college. And I think Preston probably remembers when we played Georgia Military in a similar type game on Friday night. And then Saturday night, just do a skills challenge and allow fans to buy autograph and photo ops with players, with both nights generating money for NIL. And the question I had this morning for Preston was, with what he's done with the Stallions, are you surprised that Skip hadn't at least been looked at by an NFL team? Appreciate what y'all do, and take it off there.
David, you're always welcome to call in here. We're talking Stallions and wrestling, so you're always your calls will always be taken. Let's start from the end. Skip Holtz, I'm not sure what he actually wants to do as far as NFL is concerned. He did work last year as a consultant with Northwestern, and they had a really good season. He was a consultant to the head coach. I forget what his exact title was. So I'm not sure what his career aspirations are, but he's been successful at pretty much every level of that he's been coaching. Working further backwards, that Georgia Military game. Yes, we did play Georgia Military. I forget which year we played them. And, boy, let me tell you, that was a big thing in the locker room, because you walked into that locker room and either your name was on the list to play or your name wasn't on the list. Thankfully, my name was not on the list. And so there was a lot of conversations about, you got to play today. And for the rest of us who didn't have to play, it was a glorious, glorious day. So that did happen, and I was fortunate enough to be on the list of players who were not playing in that Georgia Military scrimmage or whatever that was. The last part about having the C and D teams, it's no bad ideas here. The only problem is Shane has told us there's no depth chart, so we don't know who the C and D teams are. Appreciate your call.
Hold up. No depth charts, but he did mean an A group and a B group and a C group.
That's true.
So
That's true.
technically what David is
That's
saying.
just color choices. That's not
it's the
talent.
blue team, right?
Yeah. Technically, David is fitting into what
you're right.
Shane said. He didn't say first teamers. He just said the C and the D team. David caught and gets the program very well.
Good job.
And understood everything. Real quick, I don't want to go down this path too much today because I want to get into the basketball thing, but I know we do. But what? Georgia Military? How do I not know about this?
Yeah.
Does people know? Do people clearly David
I'm not
did.
sure if it was a secret scrimmage or something like that, but there was, and I get, obviously I get all the years jumbled up, but there was one year where essentially the C&D team or whoever that was played a scrimmage against Georgia Military. It was right there in the stadium. They played it there. I don't know what day it was, or if it was a weekday or weekend. I think obviously the details get jumbled up. I just remember that I was not playing, and I was so happy to not be playing because I didn't want to play any more football at that time.
Right.
I had done my football quota. So, yeah, it was a time. Maybe I'll get some more details on that.
Yeah, we can. I have to. Just because that circles back to kind of, was it a spring situation? You don't remember?
I wish I really remembered. Like I said, all I remember was I was not playing. I was very happy to not be playing.
Yeah, let's see if we can dig into that. Let's see if you can dig up some, because I just say that because that circles back to going against another team. Mm-hmm. And that was 20-some-odd years ago, and it sounds like y'all did it. And we're debating it now in 2025. 803-404-6100. The conversation, though, centers around this morning, South Carolina. They lose the commitment of Trayshawn Eaglestaff. And by the way, it appears. I hate laughing. I'm not laughing. I'm laughing because we don't know what we're supposed to say, right? But Trayshawn Eaglestaff, he's got the pictures. I'm looking at him now that he had of him in the Gamecocks jersey, and he's pointing. He is pointing. Yep. He is pointing directly at the thing, and it sounds like he's going to go to West Virginia. That's at least what was kind of being reported yesterday. Now, who knows what exactly is going to happen with him? But Preston, this is a very tough break, very bad break for South Carolina.
Yeah, but I mean, unfortunately, it's the old middle school game, Bill. Big bank take little bank. This is a real easy situation. We took him. He got here. Big bank
actually
comes.
Technically never got here.
Well, did he technically sign?
No. Okay. There's no, from my understanding, I could be wrong. There's no actual sign. It's just like, hey, I'm coming to your school.
All right, so he made a commitment and it moved on. You gotta see it to the end. It's never done till it's done, I guess. Obviously the staff had plans for him, and they were he kind of was the centerpiece of, it seemed like, of the transfer class and of the class coming in. So it's a huge blow, but it's the game. It's just hard. I'm sorry to cut you off. It's just hard to be upset about getting mad that a player you got in the portal went in the portal. You lose them how you got them, I guess.
It's just going to be really interesting. I mean, this was a guy who was in elite. We talk about 2,050 transfers being out there. Not all of them are elite. You know, there's guys that can help your program, and this is one of those guys. He was going to be the foundation piece for South Carolina. He was going to be, I think, kind of the guy to form the backcourt along with Michie Johnson and Eli Ellis. I know they're fans of Kobe Knox as well, but this was the guy who comes in and is one of the top 25 transfers in the country. Schools such as Gonzaga, Kentucky, Kansas, Alabama, Villanova, St. John's, they all wanted him. And Lamont Paris went out and got him, and now he is backed out. I mean, if we're just looking ahead, it doesn't mean you can't go and replace him. You can go get another guy. I don't know if you can get a guy this highly rated, this highly thought. Now, let's be clear on this. This is on the internet. This is on paper, if you will. He is expected to be a big-time transfer. Maybe he doesn't live up to that hype. Maybe the jump is a little bit too much to him. We talked about this with, like, Monkel Goodwine and Gabriel Brownlow Dindy, yeah. But we talk about, on paper, they're big-time recruits. Can they live up to that this year in football? Same thing with Trayshawn Eaglestaff.
Yeah, I guess the only slight difference was that he had done it at a high level.
At a college level.
At his level, and he was going to be an older guy coming in. Mm-hmm. So when you're recruiting old, that tends to transfer, especially with his skill set was concerned. It's a difficult blow, and I'm not sure if there's an exact match for what he was going to bring to this team, or what they thought he was going to bring to the team.
There are, not that South Carolina's in on. So you see there's your difference. It's easy to say, well, yeah, go find another guy. Well, a lot of those guys right now are making quick decisions to secure their spots. Again, there's about what I say 1,600 guys that are out there right now going, well, I hope somebody likes me. I hope somebody's willing to take me. I hope I'm not. I hope I didn't leave my school with the thought of transferring up, only to now transfer down.
Trayshawn was at the transfer portal restaurant, and he saw the fajitas go by, and he's like, I don't think I like what I ordered here. He's like, that looks a little. Look at that. What they got over there?
Yeah.
And he had to eat his meatloaf that he was going to eat at South Carolina.
I don't
steak somewhere.
Yeah, and I'll say this: based on what my understanding is, I don't think this is necessarily an NIL situation. South Carolina, J.C. Sherbert said it yesterday. South Carolina's fine financially. Are they at the top of the big dog class there when it comes to, as you said, big bank, little bank? No, but financially they're fine. They've got the money to be able to handle things, and whether they had planned ahead or knew or however you want to phrase it, you're probably not going to have to give significant money to Colin Murray Boyles now, which frees up a chunk of change as well.
Which our guy Fred Brown will address that specific scenario here coming up soon.
Yeah.
He'll address that specifically. With that information, I don't know whether that makes it worse or better. I don't know. Because I think the easy way to soothe yourself is you just say, oh, yeah, they have more money than us. That's the easy.
He's all about the bag.
Yeah.
Right? When it happens to us, oh, yeah, we didn't want that guy. He's only about the money. He wouldn't have been here to play.
You can easily make yourself feel a lot better. But if you hear, like, maybe that wasn't actually the part of the equation, maybe he just looked at a program that was in a better standing or gave him a higher opportunity, that it may be a little bit more difficult to deal with as far as the reasons why this happened.
Yeah, and again, it's not if he is getting more money, it's not necessarily a great deal of money, but we'll continue to watch that in terms of what South Carolina does, because Preston, it's fair. It's fair that next year is going to be a massive year for Lamont Parish. You've had two, I was going to say fair or unfair, but you've had two epically bad seasons and one epically great season. Like, it's boom or bust right now, and year 4 is going to be vital for Lamont Paris.
I think that's absolutely fair.
So, 803-404-6100. So, the decommitment of Trayshawn Eagle staff, South Carolina continues to work the portal. And I do, for those wondering, Eli Ellis seems firmly committed. He even put out a tweet last evening, said, don't worry, you win some, you lose some, and with this news, we are definitely about to win some.
Spokesman for the class.
Eli Ellis still, if you're like, well, boy, just don't lose, it appears he's still fully invested. 803-404-6100. Come back, get into a little bit of baseball. Paul Maneri speaking last night on Carolina Calls. We'll let you hear him talk about the pitching staff and the lineup changes that he's kind of anticipating. You're listening to the early game.
107.5 The Game in Columbia, 100.5 The Game in Florence, and 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. The Game Network.
Listen to Gamecocks baseball on The Game. And if a Gamecocks batter hits a grand slam,
you could win cash. You could win cash. You could win cash. You could win cash in the Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union Grand Slam giveaway. Go to 1075thegame.com and register. Brought to you by Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union and The Game.
Bill Gunner for AAA Heating and Air. I tell you what, we are switching around, getting nice, warm weather now, and you know what? It feels great now because there's no humidity, but coming up here in just a few months, you're going to be getting those hot, humid summer days. My question to you, is your heating and air unit ready to take the pounding? That's right. The pounding of the Columbia summers is something else, but at AAA Heating and Air right now, if you need repairs, they are offering 12-month repairs. All you have to do is have a valid bank account and be a homeowner for AAA Heating and Air. So give them a phone call today, 803-677-1500. Again, that's 803-677-1500. Give AAA Heating and Air a call today. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you.
Sponsored by Straight Talk Wireless. Straight Talk might not be on your shopping list, but it should be. Next time you're grabbing some milk off the shelf at your local Walmart, stop by the Straight Talk aisle and switch to real unlimited data. It's quick and convenient. It won't even take up room in your cart.
Offers not in conjunction plus text tags entitled with approved credit. Call 888-320-6359 for details. JT at JT's Kia is thrilled to announce for the first time ever $10,000 in customer cash. Use it to pay off your car or lower your payments. Or keep the cash, it's yours. Get 0% for 60 months. And don't miss 2 new Kias for $222 a month. Even if your credit's been turned down before, come see JT. JT's Kia, I-77 at Killian Road, or the new JT's Kia Greystone.
10 years ago, who could have predicted what the internet would bring? Streaming videos, voice assistants, smartphones, smart homes, work from home. But here we are, wondering what the next 10 years will bring. Whatever it brings, Lumos 100% fiber optic internet is ready with incredible speeds and reliability. So you can do more and be more than you ever thought possible on the internet built for the future. Plans start at $50 per month. Learn more at lumosfiber.com/next.
We know what it's like when you're injured. You hurt, you can't work, you can't pay your bills, and the insurance company won't return your calls. I'm Jason Reynolds. At the Samuels Reynolds Law Firm, we're here for you when things go bad. We're local, resourceful, and have a proven record of success.
I'm Stephen Samuels. Our team is big enough to handle any case and small enough to care about each one.
We get South Carolina because we're true South Carolina. Samuels Reynolds. True injuries, true lawyers. 803-779-4000.
Firehouse Subs has partnered with Hot Ones to introduce 2 new limited-time subs. The Zesty Garlic Hook and Ladder features Hot Ones garlic Fresno hot sauce, crispy garlic chips, and marinated onions for a milder heat.
The Spicy Dill Hook and Ladder takes it up a notch with the Last Dab Pickle, a dill pickle marinated in Reaper hot sauce. Both subs are served on the classic Hook and Ladder you know and love with piled high smoked turkey, honey ham, melted pepper jack cheese, lettuce, and tomatoes.
Order both subs today at a Firehouse Subs near you.
Hey, this is Jen Jensen for CHW Cabinetry. My family is using CHW Cabinetry, and they are fantastic to work with. They make sure you're satisfied with every step of the process. Not only do their photorealistic renderings show exactly what your new space will look like, their job site guarantees everyone is on the same page, literally. Experience the CHW difference for yourself. Go to chwcabinetry.com to see more, or call them at 803-520-6837, and be sure to tell them Jen Jensen sent you. CHW Cabinetry, passion from inspiration to installation.
For pure safety and total clean, call Zerorez. Right now, get 3 rooms for the price of 2. That's 3 rooms of carpet cleaned, but only pay for 2. Mention me, Bill Gunner, at 107.5 The Game to secure this deal today. Book online at zerorezcolumbia.com.
Everybody loves streaming till you have to pay for it. Just download the 107.5 The Game app and stream us for free. And now, traffic sponsored by Wetzel's Automotive on the Game Network.
Just one accident to report right now on Johnson Marina Road at Highway 76. 77 is what our high will be today. Going to be mostly sunny for the next few days. 84 tomorrow, 87 on Saturday, and we stay in the mid-80s, really. Then we drop to like the low 80s at the beginning of the work week. Oh, my goodness. But it's going to be really, really nice, and we'll stay in the 80s for the foreseeable future. Just have to have a little bit of a jacket or something to get you where you're going this morning. It is 45 on 107.5 The Game.
You're talking about, sponsored by Love Chevrolet on the Game Network and the 107.5 The Game app.
6:34 on your Thursday morning, April the 17th. Hope you're doing well as we get you up and get you going. Bill Gunner, Preston Thorne, Jen Jensen. We'll get into a little bit of baseball coming up here in just a second on what Paul Maneri had to say last night on Carolina Calls. Let's get back out to the phone lines. Ernest wants to weigh back in on spring game. Ernest, how you doing this morning? What's on your mind?
I'm doing fine there, Bill. My thing is with the spring game, you were talking about NIL, stuff like this. Well, let's say you bring in a team like Furman, Wofford, South Carolina State, so now you're getting your in-team states for the spring game. You give them their payday. We have a stadium, 80,000 people. and I'm doing this hypothetically, $10 a person, you just made $800,000. You pay Furman, State, or Wofford, they're $400 for coming down. You got $400 left. $200,000 NIL, $200,000 to charity like Harvest Hope Food Bank or something like that. And now you're doing good all around the state. You don't have to just keep it in football. You could do it in the fall with your baseball team or your basketball teams if it's allowed. Generate money and spread it around the state.
Yeah, I think that's a thought process. I think the question is, do you do that in the spring, or do you do it as like a closed practice in the fall, Preston? Because here's the thing about doing that.
Appreciate you calling.
Yeah, thank you, Ernest. Here's the thing about doing that. Shane Beamer doesn't want to lose to Furman or Woff. That's no coach. Look, we all know that it's a scrimmage and an exhibition. Let the first coach lose to an FCS team, and then the fan base react to that.
Yeah, they don't even have to lose. You just play them close.
Right.
You play a FCS team close, and then all of a sudden it's, are we going to be any good this year? Also, from the FCS side, do you play your best players, or do you be like, you don't need to play today because
that's another point.
They are looking at you, and they are in the handshake.
You actually
line.
Stay in your dorm.
Yeah, matter of fact, hey, you don't need to come today.
We don't even want the other team looking,
right.
Glancing at you.
There's a lot of logistical things. I think with the conversation that Shane has always been on board with this. Shane has always been an advocate for this. Deion Sanders, Fran Brown broached this subject with the NCAA. They didn't tell him no. They told him that there was not enough time for everybody to get involved. So this is something that you might see coming down the line here very shortly. So I think this is a to be continued, and stay tuned to see what happens.
I'd go back. There was I can't remember. It was somebody like it was somebody like East Tennessee or Middle Tennessee, some lower level school that went to play Tennessee in basketball. And basically the head coach for whomever it was, the mid-major, the low major, was basically like, I wouldn't even let us shake hands with him after the game because I was afraid of what could happen if one of them noticed, if one of Tennessee's coaches noticed our players after the game. And I'll speak to this real quick, and then we'll get to baseball. The young man for Presbyterian, the young man that came in here, I forget his name, and he is now in the transfer portal. He had a big game against NC State, and I know this to be fact. Big game against NC State before he came to play against South Carolina. After the game, NC State was in touch with some representatives from him, just saying, hey, Kevin Keats that was up there is no longer there. Basically, he was in touch. They were in touch with, I can't remember the young man from Presbyterian's name. I know that for a fact because he had a big game against South Carolina, and a guy who's familiar with the Presbyterian program said, yeah, NC State is and this was in November. Is already like, hey, next year. So if you think it's not happening, and you're right about Furman or South Carolina State coming up here and being like, first teamers, y'all's bus is staying home.
Yeah, that's part of the game though. So yeah, we may be closer to that than you think. Who knows? Who knows what the NCAA is going to do?
803-404-6100. Last night on Carolina Calls, it was Paul Maneri talking about his team and kind of this coming weekend's game against Mississippi. Mississippi were now a top 15 team, and one of the things that Paul Maneri talked about was – go ahead.
No, keep going.
Oh, okay. I was going to say lineup changes.
And I think this is important because this is something that Jamie has re-emphasized during his appearances about the lack of consistency in the lineups. And so I think this clip is really important to hear what Paul Maneri has to say about that.
Here is Paul Maneri deciding on lineup changes with Monty Lee.
Like if I'm unsure on a particular day of who would be the best DH option against this particular pitcher, Monty studies the pitcher, he watches the video, and I would say that probably 99% of the time I go with the guy that Monty wants to go with, In the last couple of weeks, there's been a few things that I had planned on doing in the lineup, and I let Monty talk me into something else, whether it was who he caught or who we DH'd or, how we did set up the order or whatever. So I have a lot of respect for him and his opinion. And, he's been a head coach. He knows what it takes to, and he works with the guys. And if he feels strongly about something, many times we'll go with what he wants to do. But if I'm convicted on something, I don't even ask him. You know what I mean? I don't even ask Terry. If I know this is what I want, what I believe is the right thing, well, I ask their opinion. If you already know what you're going to do, then the coach gets mad because you don't do what he says, but you already know what you want to do. And that, it's hard for me to put a percentage on the times of that, but I'm very confident in my decision making. I think I know what it takes, but if I'm not absolutely convicted because maybe I didn't know the pitcher we're facing as well, because Monty was the one that really broke it down, on counts and what pitches he throws and how he did against certain left-handed hitters or, those type of things. I'm stupid if I don't listen to him,
So what do you take from that?
That seems fair. Having been an assistant coach, that seems fair. You don't want somebody to ask your opinion if they're not actually going to take it into consideration. Sometimes people do that, like, well, what do you think? And then they're just going to do it.
Right.
So that seems very fair. Asking your assistant coaches, leaning on them, seeing what their opinion is. I don't see any issue with anything that he said during that conversation. I guess the issue is it just hasn't been working.
Right.
And so I appreciate the transparency and giving us the thought process. But at the end of the day, it has to work.
Yeah, there's a part of me that almost felt like that was Paul Mainieri being like, lay down, Monty. I got to get the bus out.
I think it could sound like that.
He gave him a lot of, he goes, and he gives him a lot of credit and a lot of props.
Well, that's the part of it's not working. If it's working, and he says, then he's boosting him up.
Right.
Right? And so, yeah, I think everybody, and that's why I said the other day that there's a hitting coach who's Monty Lee, who's responsible for that. And then we're going to hear from Paul Mainieri talking about the pitching coach. Those are people who are directly responsible for these aspects of the game.
And, Jen, I believe this is cut number 3, I believe, as I get my sheet back up here. This is Paul Mainieri last night discussing the pitchers and talking about deciding on pitchers with pitching coach Terry Rooney.
Yeah, we talk about everything. Yeah, there's a lot of times that, I do what Terry wants to do because, he's the one that works with those guys all the time and he knows their strengths and limitations. And, Terry is not, Terry and I have known each other for so long and worked together for so long that I trust him totally, and if he's that convicted about something, it's generally what I will go with. But if he's not terribly convicted, then I go with what I think is the best thing. And, most of the time we're on the same page. There was no disagreement about anything of how we used the pitching staff. We were in a position to win it, and it just didn't happen.
So the part of that you kind of take away, too, is Paul Mainieri realizes he's hired a staff that he has faith in. And so when it comes to decision-making, he's going to follow their opinions.
All of that sounds highly functional. All of that sounds good. He also iterated when the assistant coach is not necessarily convicted about what they want. He's the person in charge sitting in the big chair. He makes the final decision. That all sounds rational. The only problem is none of it is working right now. And so the process sounds healthy. I appreciate the transparency. And all of that sounds great. It's just not working right now.
803-404-6100. We'll come back, let you listen to a little bit of Fran Brown.
He's warming up.
He's warming up, and Preston Thorne's ready to buy all in. We'll let you listen. It is the early game.
Preston here for our folks at Cato's Power Equipment. Cato's Power Equipment has been family-owned and serving the Midlands since 1983. That's a long time. And third-generation Ben Cato provides top-notch service, great deals, and the mom-and-pop values that you love. At Cato's, they are proud to offer a wide selection of new and pre-owned mowers, tractors, and more. So if you're ready to invest in something new, the friendly team is there to make the process easy, help you choose the right equipment, find financing options, and keep your gear running strong with expert service and parts. So swing by Cato's Power Equipment today. They'll help you power up your next project. Call them at 803-254-3711. Or better yet, come by and experience their superior service and selection. Call Cato's Power Equipment at 803-254-3711.
107.5 The Game in Columbia, 100.5 The Game in Florence, and 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. The Game Network. Everybody loves streaming till you have to pay for it. Just download the 107.5 The Game app and stream us for free.
This is Pat Boyle with a Sports Minute. The Chicago Bulls are a rudderless ship right now, desperately in need of direction. Third straight year they've been eliminated in the play-in tournament, each time by the Heat. They're too good to tank. They're too bad to actually contend. That's basketball purgatory, folks. Hey, I got a suggestion. Fire head coach Billy Donovan. The Hall of Fame coach's messaging clearly isn't working anymore. I'm Pat Boyle.
What's up, baseball fans? Go yard with BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Enjoy top odds on your favorite home run bets, fast and convenient ways to play same-game parlays, special boosts and tokens, and so much more. From the first pitch to the game-winning fireworks, there are more ways than ever to supercharge your excitement. Download the BetMGM app and get your piece of MLB action. BetMGM is an official partner of Major League Baseball. BetMGM and GameSense reminds you to play responsibly. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 years of age and older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Available in the U.S. For New York, 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. For Arizona, 1-800-NEXT-STEP. For Massachusetts, 1-800-327-5050. For Iowa, 1-800-BETS-OFF. For Puerto Rico, 1-800-981-0023. First bet offers for new customers only. All other promotions for existing customers. Subject to eligibility requirements. In partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Major League Baseball trademarks. Used with permission.
The 2025 Spring Golf Classic with the Greater Chapin Chamber of Commerce is Thursday, May 1st at Timberlake Country Club in Chapin. Get your team of 4 together or sign up as an individual for a day of golf, networking, and fun. Breakfast and lunch are provided along with prizes. Sponsorship and registration for the Golf Classic on May 1st are available at chapinchamber.com. The Greater Chapin Chamber of Commerce is a nonprofit partner of Cumulus Media.
Hey, y'all, Jay Phillips here from my good friends at Dan's Fan City in Harbison. Ceiling fans don't sound like something you think about a lot because you don't really need to, but when you've got good ones, they work so well, keeping energy costs down and your comfort level up. All kinds of fans at Dan's Fan City, big to small and quiet, quality fans. They have accessories and light kits, fan blades, and more. Stop by and see them soon, Harbison Boulevard next to Total Wine, or call Dan's Fan City, 781-FANS. You'll be glad you did.
More than 6 million kids in the U.S. have ADHD, and many aren't getting the support they need. At understood.org, we know that parents want to help, especially when their child has questions like,
why am I always falling behind? Why do I feel so alone?
We provide parents with the resources they need to help kids with ADHD thrive. Your child wants to thrive. Be the reason they do. Visit understood.org/the reason to get started.
We can secure our world. When it's time to update an app, don't you hesitate. Do it ASAP.
Just like that. Learn how software updates can protect you at CISA.gov/secure our world.
The Early Game with Bill Gunter, former Gamecock Preston Thorne, and Jen Jensen on the Game Network and on 107.5, the Game app.
Reminder, we got a busy day here. A lot of talking. Carolina calls coming up at 5:30 with Shane Beamer tonight, so you can hear that right here on 107.5 The Game, as a coach will make kind of his final statements before the spring game, and then we'll hear him in the press conference, and then that'll kind of wrap things up for a while. But coming up at that'll be 5:30 tonight, and then 6:30 is start time for South Carolina baseball against Mississippi tonight. So prepare accordingly for both of those things. So talking Preston Thorne, something Fran Brown does really well.
Something Fran Brown does very well. If you've been following the show, if you listen to the show, you know Fran Brown has been on our radar as a guy who's rising up the ranks as a quote machine. He's definitely, whenever he speaks, he has something to say, unlike a lot of coaches in college football. And that's why I do appreciate him. So Tennessee's not the only program who's losing somebody who's very important to them. Syracuse football wide receiver Trevor Pena is expected to enter the transfer portal. If you don't know who Trevor Pena is, he was Syracuse's leading wide receiver last year, a sixth-year guy, somebody who Fran Brown had recruited to come to Syracuse from Temple, where he was previous to this. So they're very familiar with each other. And Trevor Pena is expected to enter the transfer portal. Now, Fran went on a Syracuse podcast to talk about the situation. He's very much has said he doesn't run from any situations. He addresses everything head on. He has one quote where he said, and I quote, "I ain't giving no wide receiver $2 million." That was one of his quotes. But here was his other quotes where he talked about, a lot of times we talk about, well, how do these deals affect the team chemistry and what's going on with the team after these types of things happen. And Jen, let's hear from Fran Brown about how this affected his team.
Yeah, some of the players, when I told them, I said, yo, he leaving. He was getting paid a little bit. So, you know what they was doing that night? I got so many texts about coach. I gotta get this. I got one. A couple of them text me about the number, so they ain't calling like upset that he left. Hey, can I get that number? Hey, coach, let me get a couple extra dollars now. You know what I'm saying? That this is freed up. So, I mean, we're gonna be straight. Like we got practice today. We
got practice today.
So when you talked about the CMB number, it talked about guys looking around. These players understand budgets too.
Yeah.
They see a big number leaving, they're like, what's up? What's going on? What's a little bit of money for me? So when Trevor Pena enters the transfer portal, Fran Brown told his team what the deal was. And as he said, some of the players that talked to him like, all right, coach, well, that's not here anymore.
They do the quick math. I'll never forget coaching. This is very similar. We had a kid, I was coaching like 8th, 9th grade basketball. This is similar and different, all the same. And we had to debate on whether to kick a player off. There had been a transgression. Well, because he was going to get kicked off, we would then have enough players for them to wear their nice shooting shirts. We were one shooting shirt, and one of the players literally looked around the room and was like, so if we kick him off, this kid was a starter for a middle school basketball team. And he goes, if we kick him off, does this mean we get to wear the shooting shirts? And so this is where I can see other players looking around. So if he leaves, I know the number. We can spread that around evenly.
The team comes together all of a sudden. Everybody has this common goal.
Instead of next man up, it's next wallet up.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Next pennies.
What's going on? Hey, let's do that. So, yeah, obviously coaches are dealing with this in different ways, but I just always think Fran is always going to be interesting. He's always going to say something, and I do think that is something that conversations are had. So you say, hey, man, and it's just like any other budget. Hey, we're not doing this anymore. We're allotting this to this, and we're going to spend more money on this, and that is part of the process. Now, that's where this idea of the head coach not dealing with this, where you should probably have more of these general manager types in dealing with these situations. But these are all part of the conversations that are probably happening more often than we're know of in college sports.
And that comes back. I think that's where, even whether it's down to the whatever you want to call it, like you said, the general manager, but I guess like an Andrew Luck at Stanford is kind of like, yeah, y'all come to me. You don't go to your head coach. You come to me because he's not technically the athletic director. He is Andrew Luck, of course, at Stanford. He's not the athletic director, but he is in charge of football. He's the general manager. That is his specific sport. He's not worried about basketball and basketball's NIL money, or baseball and baseball's. He's worried. So I wonder if that is the direction you start to kind of see things, where the guy, instead of it being Jeremiah Donati over football, he's got a guy who's strictly in charge of it. Now, maybe that guy still has to answer to Jeremiah Donati, but that's the guy who goes, I'm handling football's budget, I'm handling football's coaching, I'm handling all of this.
Yeah, and that's where the conversations will go towards. And I think that's part of the new landscape of college football. And if he was the whole Fran Brown clip, he was just saying essentially like, nah, that's not in our budget. We're not going to do that. I think that my offensive system is going to be able to create similar opportunity for somebody else. He also said that, hey, there's other players in the portal. We feel like we can get a better value at that position. So I wish him luck. Good luck. Congratulations. You shot your shot. We said no, and now you're moving on. I'll give you a letter of reference. I'll tell everybody how great a kid you are. Just not going to do it here. And that seems fair to me.
And I think that's also kind of what we had with Nico at Tennessee, that essentially
I think that Nico was a little more nefarious because he, kind of tried to stick him up, essentially hold him over and try to create fake leverage. I think this was more of just an honest, like, hey, this is what I think I'm worth. What do you think? You don't think so? Okay, I'm taking my services somewhere else.
And you very well could be right on that. And it's something that, as you said, especially with a lot of spring games kind of occurring over this coming weekend, that I think you're going to see a lot of Sunday and Monday when they get into these conversations.
But yeah, Fred Brown, I ain't giving $2 million to no wide receiver.
Hey, he knows where his budget's at. You got to get out of here.
Yeah, I'm out, man. Arcadia Elementary, Spartanburg. I'm on the way.
All right. Well, I will see you on Monday.
Yes, sir.
Talk to you in the morning, and we will roll along. Jen Jensen and myself, Brad Crawford, due up at 7:30 this morning. You're listening to The Early Game.
.1075 The Game, broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevy Studios. You can save up to $20,000 on new Silverados. Stop by or shop online today and see how Herndon Chevy makes you smile. Together, let's drive.
Preston here for our friends at Absolute Glass, the premier glass company of the Midlands, offering auto, home, and business glass repair. So if your glass is damaged, shattered, cracked, or broken, they can handle the job. If it's a cracked windshield, that's no problem. They'll come out to your location and replace it for you, usually for free, and they work directly with the insurance to take away the headache. That's right. They'll come out to wherever you are, school, home, work, it does not matter. Absolute Glass will come out and take care of it for you. Now, if you're at home and you're looking to increase the value of your home, you can do that with new windows or mirrors, and Absolute Glass will take care of that for you too. Windows, mirrors, shower enclosures. Say it all the time. If you can see through it, Ray and Marianne at Absolute Glass can do it. So check them out online at AbsoluteGlassInc.com. That's online at AbsoluteGlassInc.com.
Sponsored by Metz Plumbing.
If you got a problem, it just won't quit. Just won't quit. And you need a plumber to make the trip. Metz Plumbing, MetzPlumbing.com.
Bothered by back, neck, shoulder, or joint pain? Get back in the game with The Joint Chiropractic. No appointment is necessary and no need to worry about insurance. The new patient special includes a consultation, exam, and chiropractic adjustment for just $29. FSA and HSA approved. At The Joint Chiropractic, you don't have to feel bad to feel better. Walk in today without an appointment. Clinics are conveniently located in Forest Acres, Harbison, Killian, and Lexington. Online, thejoint.com.
What you're talking about. Sponsored by Love Chevrolet. Act now for springtacular savings on the best selection of new Chevys. I-26 at Harbison and at lovechevy.com. Together, let's drive.
It's time to prepare for summer, and your HVAC system is on the fritz. The last thing you need is an unexpected repair bill, and AAA Heating and Air has got your back. They're offering up to 12-month payment plans on repairs with no credit check. That's right, no need to worry about your credit score. As long as you're a homeowner with a valid bank account, you're good to go. So do what I did and call AAA Heating and Air today. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you.
AAA Air when you need us. AAA Heating and Air.
Clean the spring pollen and allergens out of your home the easy way with Zerorez Air Duct Experts. Mention me, Bill Gunner, at 1075 The Game and get $50 off your next air duct cleaning. Just use promo code AIR50 when scheduling online at ZerorezColumbia.com.
Powered by Integrated Media. The Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. For auto, home, and commercial glass. ShepherdsGlass.com. In Chapin and West Columbia. The Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. And now, traffic sponsored by Wetzel's Automotive on the Game Network.
Still working an earlier tie-up Johnson Marina Road at Highway 76. 77, that's going to be our forecast high for today. Sunny conditions out there. Sunny tomorrow, 84. And we stay in the 80s for the foreseeable future. Just need a jacket to get you going. It's 45 right now on 1075 The Game.
early game with Bill Gunter.
All right, well, that wasn't very fun.
Former Gamecock Preston Thorne.
Rivalry week. It's a tough one to say.
Rivalry week.
Rivalry week. And so you have to really, really get that one out.
And Jen Jensen.
It wasn't until yesterday I was on the app formerly known as Twitter, and I saw the picture of the three of y'all come up, and I'm like, Bill Gunter. Huh. I had to call in this morning to verify. Did you ever take an upper-level history class at USC?
I'm going to stop you right there. I'm going to stop you right there. There is no way on earth Bill Gunter took any upper-level class. I'm just saying that.
On the Game Network.
Here comes the stupidity.
You wanted us? Here we are.
And on 107.5, the Game app.
As we get you going here on your Thursday morning, April the 17th. Preston off to Spartanburg, so Jen and I hold down the fort, but we got plenty that we will get into. Brad Crawford due up this hour, sometime right around 7:30 to talk spring game as South Carolina gets set to host theirs tomorrow night over at Williams-Brice Stadium. We'll talk about that coming up in the next segment a little bit and listen to some Shane Beamer from yesterday in terms of the excitement level. What is your excitement level for the spring game? What are you looking, if you're going, again, interesting setup here from the standpoint of it will not be streamed and or televised, so you're not going to be able to watch it in that fashion. Last year I remember being there because I really wanted to see Lenore Sellers and see what he'd look like, and not to put it down, but it was kind of a dud. It was kind of boring. And that's how spring games have kind of gotten to be. Obviously, we listened to Shane Beamer yesterday, and he mentioned the number one goal is not to have the injuries, but we'll talk about that coming up in the next segment. And then Brad Crawford will join us coming up at 7:30 this morning to give his take on not only what he's hearing behind the scenes, but what he's seeing across the board from the SEC as well. So we'll catch up with him this morning. Also tonight, we've got baseball right here on 107.5 The Game. Speaking of the spring game, Carolina Calls with Shane Beamer taking place at 5:30 today here on 107.5 The Game. And then at 6:30, there'll be no pregame for it, just right after Carolina Calls with Shane Beamer. We'll get you right into the baseball game against Mississippi, and that'll be on 107.5 The Game here in Columbia, 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. So make sure you tune in for that as we have baseball tonight. And right now, let's let you listen to a little bit of Paul Maneri. Some of the questions that have come out of the last few weeks has revolved around the rotation. Here is Paul Maneri talking about his rotation for the weekend.
We're going to go with Brandon Stone Thursday, Jake McCoy Saturday, and hopefully Dylan Eskew on Sunday. Saturday, excuse me. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Thursday, Brandon Stone. Friday, Jake McCoy. Saturday, hopefully Dylan Eskew. He feels a lot better today. I was starting to get a little worried about him because besides, having the oblique and the concussion, he hadn't pitched in 3 weeks. And then all of a sudden he goes out there and throws 3 innings. Actually, 55 pitches, which was great. The limit was going to be 60. I didn't think there was any way we'd get 3 innings out of him, knowing his history, how many innings he throws how many pitches he throws per inning. But it worked. But his back's really sore, and other parts of his body are sore, from just inactivity. But I just saw him in the training room, and he feels a lot better today than he did yesterday. And actually, he's scheduled to throw a bullpen today. So I'm feeling real confident that he'll be ready to make that start on Saturday.
So you get Dylan Eskew back. And that is hopefully back. You heard that. It doesn't sound necessarily like it's 100% that he is going to come back and be at his tip-top best. But you do hope to get him back this weekend, and that'll be a boost to the rotation. The other thing about that is they're going to move Matthew Becker back to the bullpen. And then also this is Paul Maneri talking about Brendan Stone throwing strikes. But here's him breaking down the move with Becker back to the bullpen and also talking a little bit about Brendan Stone.
Gave up 6 runs in the first 2 innings.
Yeah.
We're trying to get off to a good start, and he's pitched well out of the bullpen for us. So he's still going to be a big factor in the weekend. But One thing I know about Brandon Stone is he is going to throw strikes. And that's something that did not happen for us this past weekend by our starting pitchers. Jake didn't throw strikes on Thursday night. Becker didn't throw strikes on Saturday. And Eskew didn't throw a lot of strikes on Sunday. Keep throwing, you know what I mean. Game 2, let me call it game 2. Game 1, Jake didn't throw a lot of strikes. Game 2, Becker didn't, and game 3, Dylan didn't. But the difference with Dylan is he has this magic touch that he pitches out of these jams, okay? The other 2 guys don't do that as frequently. And so the one thing I know about Brandon Stone is he's going to come in and start the game, and he's going to pound that strike zone and not be afraid to throw the ball over the plate. He might get hit. He doesn't have overpowering stuff, and Ole Miss has a good hitting team. But I know Brandon will compete like crazy, and hopefully he'll pitch the game of his life and give us a chance to win that game, and we'll move forward from there.
So there's him talking a little bit about his rotation, the move of Matthew Becker back to the bullpen, talking about Stone throwing strikes, and of course you hear him also talk a little bit about Dylan Eskew as well. And the hitting has not been look, they've had a few games where they've struggled, but the hitting has not been the massive problem. It's been late inning pitching, bullpen efforts in the 7th, 8th, and 9th. Again, we've talked about it on this program. You think about the Clemson games, they were in the game in the 7th, 8th, and 9th and could not get the pitch, and then obviously also couldn't get the clutch hit, but couldn't make the pitch to win the ball game. You think about the opening series against Oklahoma, they give up the late home run there in that game to blow it. They had opportunities there to win that series. They were blown out of the water in Fayetteville. They had never had a chance in Fayetteville, but even the Tennessee series, they had opportunities. They had chances in those games late in the game and weren't quite able to get the job done. Mississippi State, they win the first one but then lose the next 2. Texas A&M, look, there's no way to sugarcoat it. You blew the game, but again, you had a chance in that series. You got Ethan Petrie on Thursday night in the A&M series. You got Ethan Petrie up at bat with a guy on 3rd and 1 out and a chance to take the lead in the 9th inning, and he doesn't get the job done. And what happens? A pitcher gives a walk-off home run on that. I think that was the Thursday night game. Then Friday obviously was extremely ugly, 17-0. But then on Saturday, you just blow it. You just gag. There's no other explanation for it. You just completely fall apart. You're up 12-2 in the 6th, and the pitching can't hold on. So pitching has been a massive, massive, massive issue. But what if you can turn it around? Well, tonight starts the back half of conference play. They've played 15 games now in conference play. Here comes the next 5 series, the next 15 games. They're 2-13 so far. Here's Paul Maneri talking about you never know what can happen in the second half of the season.
You just never know. When people start to figure things out, something happens and it flips the whole script. And, that happened with Mike's team that year. Hey, my last year at LSU, we got off to a 1-8 start. We ended up winning a regional in Eugene, Oregon, and going to a super regional. So, we've dug ourselves a big hole. There's no question about that, Derek. But like I said, we're going to keep fighting. You never know. You just never know what can happen. My second team at LSU, we were hopelessly out of it with 4 weeks to go. We didn't lose another game. We swept the last 4 series of the year and ended up being a national seed, winning the SEC West. So that's why you just never give up. You just keep battling right to the end. When the season is over, you have no regrets about the effort that you put in. Listen, we have an eye on the future, too. I only care right now about this team and what we're doing. But, the way baseball is, the way college athletics is, you're also recruiting at the same time as you are coaching this year's team. Yeah. And we're working feverishly hard on recruiting for next year's team. Now we'll have an opportunity, with being here in time to really do it right. When you get the job in a transition in sometime in June, you don't have much time. And, we were able to get a few pieces, Nathan Hall and Henry Kazmar and guys like Ashton Crowther have contributed. We were able to get some people that helped us. But when you can get a full recruiting class in, it makes a big difference because you're recruiting them to your style of play and what you're looking for in ball players. But in the meantime, listen, I've got a great group of kids, and they've been wonderful to work with. I love them all to death, and they're doing the best that they can, and we're going to do the best we can right to the very end.
Absolutely. And that's honestly the key there. You cannot quit. You got to keep playing through and see what happens. 803-404-6100. David weighs in, says, at what point is it poor conditioning or is it just the injury bug for pitching? I don't have an answer. That's a Jamie Bradford or a John Whittle type answer there. I think the question is what is the talent level? What exactly is the talent level of that pitching staff? And maybe this is what a lot of analysts remember. South Carolina was picked 14th out of 16 teams here in the league for the standings there when we were doing this back in January. At that point, I was kind of like, I don't know what they've got. I had no idea. I knew they were coming off of a regional. They had some good pieces back. They had lost some pieces. Cole Messina obviously was a big loss, but didn't know what they had. And clearly, a lot of people kind of suspected that this team would struggle, and that's exactly what they've done. But now we start the back half of the year for conference play, and certainly they're going to, if they have any aspirations, absolutely any. You're talking about having to go probably 11-4, 10-5. I don't know if that would cut it. Probably minimal 11-4 in conference play, and that includes winning all of your midweek games to give yourself a chance. 13-17 typically in this conference, especially with the strength of the conference, can get you into the NCAA tournament. But, boy, 11-4 is asking a whole lot that has not been shown thus far during the season. 803-404-6100. We'll come back. We'll get into some spring game. Let you listen to a little bit of Shane Beamer from yesterday. What is your excitement level for the spring game, and what are you looking for? I'll tell you what I'm kind of interested to hear when we come back. It is the early game.
107.5 The Game in Columbia, 100.5 The Game in Florence, and 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. The Game Network, powered by Integrated Media. The Game TV, sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. For auto, home, and commercial glass, shepherdsglass.com. In Chapin and West Columbia, The Game TV, sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. Shepherd's Glass. 107.5 The Game, broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevy Studios. You can save up to $20,000 on new Silverados. Stop by or shop online today and see how Herndon Chevy makes you smile. Together, let's drive.
Bill Gunner for the Mortgage Guru, Jacob Crowder with First Palmetto Bank. Let me tell you, if you're thinking about purchasing a home, or if you're thinking about refinancing, some people just only think about purchasing, but if you're thinking about refinancing, now is the time to be contacting Jacob Crowder. See what interest rates are available to you, because the very first thing you need to see is how much you can borrow, what you're going to have to pay back, what the down payment is, what the monthly mortgage payment is. These are the important questions. I can guarantee all of you can go out there and find that perfect house, but if you can't afford it, it's not going to work for you. But that's where Jacob Crowder steps in, being able to help finance that brand new home, finding you the right interest rate, the right loan that fits your needs. So give him a phone call and see what products are available to you. 803-719-1005. Again, that's 803-719-1005. This is exactly what Jacob did for me just about 5 years ago, and he'll do the exact same for you. That much I can guarantee. 803-719-1005. Give him a phone call today.
This is Monster Jam. Witness big air, two-wheel skills, backflips, and all-out racing. It's the only place to see the world's best drivers tear up the dirt in your favorite Monster Jam trucks, like Gravedigger, El Toro Loco, Megalodon, and more. It's big-time fun for the whole family. Monster Jam, as big as it gets. Coming to Colonial Life Arena April 26th and 27th. Brought to you by BKT Tires. Visit monsterjam.com today.
Looking for a dealership that treats you like family? Come to Herndon Chevrolet, where we've been proudly serving Lexington and the Midlands for over 50 years. Whether you're shopping for a new or pre-owned vehicle or just need expert service, you'll find it all right here. Shop online anytime at HerndonChevy.com or stop by and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile.
Herndon Chevrolet, Herndon makes you wanna smile.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, your favorite drafts are poured at a frosty 29 degrees, and rare barrel-aged whiskeys are served just the way you want them. It's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find a scratch kitchen that always comes in clutch every day from lunch to late night? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Twin Peaks Scratch Kitchen scores every time. Dig into hand-smashed burgers, chef-inspired flatbreads, and more at your local lodge.
Hey Gamecocks, Ben Cato, third generation owner of Cato's Power Equipment, with some great news for anyone looking to add some new lawn equipment to their garage or trailer. Just in time for spring, we've got awesome financing options that let you spread your Steel, Toro, or Gravely equipment purchase out over 3, 4, or even 5 years with no interest. For any budget, any yard, Cato's Power Equipment has the best equipment around, with top-notch service to back it up. Come shop our huge selection of zero turns today.
I'm Jason Reynolds. You may wonder if you're better off hiring a big corporate law firm with hundreds of lawyers, or should you go local?
I'm Stephen Samuels. With the Samuels Reynolds Law Firm, you get me, or Jason, or Michael, or David. You have your own lawyer who can go toe-to-toe with anybody, from big law to big insurance.
Here's how you know. Call 803-779-4000. You won't get a robot. You'll get Abby or Andrea or one of our other wonderful people taking your call. Samuels Reynolds. True injuries, true lawyers.
Plus tax, tags, and title with approved credit. Call 866-243-4623 for details. Do you need credit for a new Jeep or Ram? Do you think your credit doesn't qualify? Think again. JT fights harder than anyone to get you approved and can make the deals other dealers can't. Even if you owe more than your car is worth or you've had a divorce or bankruptcy, JT's got your back. 2 locations, JT's Jeep Ram Lexington or Greystone Boulevard. Ram Truck Month.
And now, traffic sponsored by Wetzel's Automotive on the Game Network.
I-77 at Shop Road, accident reported there, as well as an earlier tie-up, Johnson Marina Road at Highway 76. Percival at Clemson Road, also you might find a slowdown there due to an accident. 77 and sunny skies today. We're looking for a high tomorrow of 84, and we stay in the mid-80s for the foreseeable future. We start off the morning where you just need a jacket to kind of get you going. 44 currently on 107.5 The Game.
The Early Game with Bill Gunter, former Gamecock Preston Thorne, and Jen Jensen. On the Game Network and on 107.5, the Game app.
$7:17 on a Thursday mornings. We get you up and going. Remind you to go to 1075thegame.com and click on our contest tab where you can sign up for the Gamecock Traditions over-under contest. That's right, the Gamecock Traditions over-under contest. Just go to 1075thegame.com, click on the contest tab, and make your pick, submit your guess, and if you pick correctly, we could draw you, and you have a chance to win a Gamecock Traditions gift card. So go to 1075thegame.com, click on the contest tab, and sign up for the Gamecock Traditions over-under contest. Let's get out to the phone lines. Joe wants to weigh in on the spring game. Joe, how you doing this morning? What's on your mind?
Hey, fellas, good morning. So, my excitement level from 1 to 5 is probably about a 4, Bill, because, you know, I'm excited about the sound of pass hitting, man, and whistles blowing, and you know, just being around people out there in the stands, man, talking a little junk and watching the guys run around. From an offensive standpoint, I want to see what quarterback outside of the noise looks comfortable, you know, how fast they get rid of the ball. On the defensive side, I look forward for the next guy outside of Stewart who's going to be an impact player. I can't remember the linebacker's name, number 17. I can't get his name right now, but someone who's going to impact the defense like he did last year.
Demetrius Knight from last year. Yeah, okay.
Knight. And so I'm looking forward to outside of Stewart, who's going to be that new guy that causes some problems on the defensive side of the ball. So that's what I'm looking forward to, man. I'll be there and having a good time tomorrow, man. So
well, look forward.
Good talking to you guys this morning.
Sounds good.
Go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, and we look forward to hearing from you on Monday morning when you give us your report, too. Definitely want to hear that. Thank you for the phone call, Joe. 803-404-6100. Speaking of what Joe mentioned, this is Shane Beamer from Tuesday on his press conference. Joe was just talking about the new faces on defense, who's going to replace guys like Debo Williams and Demetrius Knight and Kyle Kennard. Here's Shane Beamer on Tuesday talking about new faces on defense.
Yeah, as you guys know, there's so many new faces on the defense, and that's the thing you go out there for the first day of spring ball, and you're missing all these guys that have been literally at every practice with you. Boogie, Tonka, TJ, Debo, O'Donnell. I mean, literally every practice since I got hired as the head coach, those guys were at practice, and the first time they weren't was the first day of spring ball. And you look around and you have so many new faces, but that's exciting as a coach. And I like the group, I really do. I think we're longer at a lot of positions from a length standpoint. We're certainly more athletic in some ways. We're just really, really young, but I've been pleased with the progress and the steps that the defense has taken this spring. The new transfers that have come in, I think, have really done a nice job of solidifying that they belong. The freshmen that have come in have continued to take steps. We're really excited about this, all of the new guys, transfers and freshmen. They're all going to have a chance to help us as well. And, now it's continuing to just develop depth and get experience. You think about it, there's, as far as guys that have started games here at Carolina, there's not many returning on defense that have started. Now there's a lot of really good new players, but they're just inexperienced. But I've been pleased with the progress that they've made, and they've been disruptive, and now we just got to be more consistent throughout practice. We'll have a good period, then we'll have a not so good period. Same thing with the offense. That's kind of where, going back to some of the questions about the spring game on Friday night, that would be a successful one, is if I just saw consistency offensively and defensively and special teams, because we've been a little up and down, just, some practices and some scrimmages.
So you hear that consistency, and that's some of what I think, Joe talks about seeing guys defensively. He said kind of the same things that I've talked about in terms of the backup quarterback and seeing who looks most comfortable, who can run the offense. There's been a lot of praise kind of coming out of practice for Cutter Woods and what he has done. Obviously, it'll be exciting to see Air Noland, obviously Dante Marino as well, kind of those three quarterbacks in line to battle it out. Luke Doty, throw him in there as well, but I think it's those three younger guys that you want to see and who handles the moment, who handles the spotlight the most. And Shane Beamer talked about that, the young guys like Cutter Woods, guys like Dante Reno, even an Aaron Noland who redshirted last year at Ohio State, playing in front of a big crowd. Here's what Shane Beamer had to say about young guys playing in front of big crowds.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons we're doing a spring game, so we can try and acclimate them to that, because for so many of these guys, it will be the biggest crowd they've ever played in front of in their life. And to be able to expose that to them, is it going to be the same as going into Atlanta and playing on national television in 100 and whatever, I think we're at 140 days, or a little over 140? No, but it's a lot closer than what it is going into a stadium without anybody in there. So certainly that's good experience for them. The freshmen, the newcomers, whoever it may be, the specialists, to be able to kick and punt and snap and hold and catch punts in front of a big crowd under the lights, they need that, and we're certainly going to do that as much as we can on Friday night also. As far as what I've told them, nothing at this point. I'll reiterate to them what we talked about the first time we went in the stadium a couple weeks ago for our first scrimmage, that one, it's an honor to get to play in that stadium on that field, and making sure they have great gratitude about being able to go compete in Williams-Brice Stadium. I'll reiterate that to them, but really just have fun. Spring game is an opportunity to go compete and go get better, but have fun. But at the end of the day, you're trying to win the game for your team and be the best you can be. So I'll just reiterate that to them, and making sure they understand that have fun. They've earned the right to put on a uniform and go in that stadium on Friday night. But at the same time, don't lose sight of what's important, and that's going out there and just doing your job and making plays.
So again, I think when you go to a spring game, you are more excited about the younger guys. I think the excitement for a Lenora Sellers has passed a little bit. You want to see the actual younger guys. And, of course, you don't want to see any injuries. Here's Shane Beamer. This is the final clip here talking about what tomorrow night being successful will look like.
No injuries for sure, and to me it's just seeing guys compete and just guys making plays. I think there's certain players, Alan, that any team that I've been a part of, they get in those environments and they're just, whatever you want to call it, gamers, whatnot, where they just kind of step up and make plays when the lights come on, so to speak. So eager to see kind of who steps up. Efficiency, let's be... I'm still scarred. Last year we kicked a field goal and we only had 10 men on the field for the field goal, and I lost my mic'd up on SEC Network, and that stuff just drives me crazy. So can we be clean and efficient with substitutions, special teams, offense, defense, very few penalties, things like that. Just look like an efficient operation, and then be able to stay healthy. And then with us, it's another opportunity to get better and compete. So walking off the field and just feeling like, we've taken another step as a team out on the field during the game.
So a lot of words there from Shane Beamer talking about the faces on defense, young guys playing in front of what will hopefully be a decent crowd tomorrow night, and what a successful spring game looks like. We'll catch up with Brad Crawford of 24/7 Sports. What is he hearing, not just at South Carolina, but around the SEC? He'll give you the lowdown on that when we return. It is the early game.
107.5 The Game in Columbia, 100.5 The Game in Florence, and 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. The Game Network.
Listen to Gamecocks baseball on The Game. And if a Gamecocks batter hits a grand slam, you could win cash. You could win cash. You could win cash. You could win cash in the Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union Grand Slam giveaway. Go to 1075thegame.com and register. Brought to you by Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union and The Game.
Bill Gunner for Mid-State Roofing. Now, we know those summer thunderstorms are on the way. That's right, those days where you get the heavy rains. Is your roof ready to handle that? I hope so. If not, it's time for you to call Mid-State Roofing. Whether it's your home or your business, whether you're here in Columbia, Florence, Aiken, Myrtle Beach, Charleston, Greenville, Mid-State Roofing has got you covered, because at Mid-State Roofing, they design and install bonded systems with a protective guarantee that'll keep your operation dry and running long into the future. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Mid-State Roofing is there to do that. And that's why, for nearly 30 years, they've been the proven leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry. So give them a phone call, 803-356-1919. Again, that's 803-356-1919. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Mid-State Roofing is there and ready to take your phone call and help you with a maintenance contract. Give them a phone call, 803-356-1919. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you.
Sponsored by South Carolina Education Lottery. The Mega Millions jackpot for Friday is $112 million. Be sure to stop at your local South Carolina Education Lottery retailer and get your ticket today. See sceducationlottery.com for jackpot odds and a store near you.
Currently car shopping? State Credit Union now has auto loan rates as low as 4.25% APR. Plus, you'll have no car payment for up to 90 days. Visit one of State Credit Union's 19 full-service branches or their website, scscu.com. That's scscu.com, and apply online for your new car loan today. That's scscu.com. Terms and conditions apply. Equal housing lender. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Hi, everybody. This is Woody Wyndham here to talk about Pioneer Tree Service. Guy Gant's not with us anymore, but his girls are. Madison Gant just walked in. How you doing?
Doing great, Woody. How are you?
Good. Madison, I see your trucks everywhere for Pioneer Tree Service. Tell us some of the people you work with.
Well, we've been very busy with residential and commercial customers.
So, Madison, you're doing the State House, Midlands Tech, City of Columbia, University of South Carolina. So you're going to want to call somebody you can trust, and that is the Gant girls at Pioneer Tree Service. And now there's a new little Gant girl, Dawson. We got all the Gant girls in the room.
We do tree removal, stump removal, tree pruning, tree trimming, tree thinning, tree cabling, and we will raise your tree canopy.
And no matter where you live, the Gant girls can get there. So, hey, Gant girls, how do they get in touch with you?
Call us today for a free estimate at 803-794-8253. Or check us out online at pioneertreesc.com.
Breakfast comes in all shapes and sizes, but I have my favorites. I like mine bagged up, wrapped with love, and made to perfection. And no one does it better than McDonald's. With a 2 for $5 mix and match breakfast deal, I can take home 2 delicious sandwiches. Whether it's a sausage McMuffin with egg, the bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit, or a chicken McGriddles, there's a match made for me. However you like breakfast, there's a delicious choice waiting for you at Mickey D's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Prices and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal. Single item at regular price.
You make the best burgers in town, and customers love them. But when you're busy running your business, keeping up with reviews isn't easy. You need a boost. Cumulus Boost helps you collect, manage, and showcase reviews, so more customers find you. Learn more at cumulusboost.com.
It's part sports.
We have football on the brain.
Part pop culture.
Dennis Leary. True or false? You refuse to wear a glove with Mickey Mantle's signature on it for the movie The Sandlot.
The Red Sox blood, the Brewers blood, they run deep.
And in the best celebrity interviews.
Robert De Niro here on The Rich Eisen Show. How are you, sir?
Just got over a 24-hour virus.
The antidote is to appear on The Rich Eisen Show.
There you go. I would have just done it earlier.
And you've got The Rich Eisen Show podcast.
There is a medicinal quality to appearing on this program.
Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Hate paying for streaming? Well, the 107.5 The Game app is free. Yes, free. Just download the 107.5 The Game app. And now, traffic sponsored by Wetzel's Automotive on the Game Network.
Still working the earlier tie-ups, Johnson Marina Road at Highway 76. That should be getting cleared pretty soon. Also an accident Percival Road at Clemson and I-77 at Shop Road. And we're looking for a high today. Going to be the coolest day of the week. 77, mostly sunny. And then we are going to be in the mid-80s starting tomorrow and going into next week. But right now, the sun is working its way out. It's 44 on 107.5 The Game.
You're talking about, sponsored by Love Chevrolet on the Game Network and the 107.5 The Game app.
.32 on your Thursday morning. Bill Gunner, Jen Jensen, Preston Thorne off to Spartanburg. So we go out to the phone lines and we bring in Brad Crawford of 24/7 Sports to help us talk a little spring football this morning. Brad, welcome in, and I hope all has been well and you and the family ready for Easter weekend.
Yeah, man, good to hear from you. We are moving into a new home. It's been a busy spring, but I am looking forward to seeing South Carolina spring game tomorrow night.
So let's jump into that. I think the number one question is not Lenora Sellers. That was what it was last year. This year it is the backup quarterbacks, Cutter Woods, Aaron Noland, Dante Reno. Throw in Luke Doty to that. What are you expecting? What are you hearing? But what are you expecting to see from those guys tomorrow night?
Yeah, I've heard great things about Aaron Noland, the Ohio State transfer at quarterback. He's going to be quarterback 2 this season. I think he's a super talented player. The Buckeyes hated to lose him last fall to the Gamecocks, and South Carolina staff has to feel pretty good about its quarterback room in case there's an injury to Lenora Sellers with Aaron Noland back there. I mean, former 4-star, almost a 5-star recruit for the Buckeyes. I don't think you're going to see a ton of drop-off in terms of being able to orchestrate this offense with Aaron Noland back there either. And that means to me, I think Lenora Sellers is going to still run the football this season, and he's not going to, sort of have a non-contact jersey during games. I mean, part of his strength, Lenora Sellers, that is his dual threat ability. And with the backup quality as Aaron Noland back there, then I think the staff feels pretty good about the chances of, both players playing and maybe a package or two we see Aaron Noland in this fall.
What are you hearing kind of behind the scenes in terms of the offense and whether it's going to be different maybe from what we saw with Dow Loggins, maybe differences with Mike Shula and what he wants to do? What have you heard kind of behind the scenes from these practices that you've picked up?
Yeah, I think the passing concepts are a little bit different. I don't think we're going to see as much, side-to-side screens and that sort of thing. They're still looking for a wide receiver one at South Carolina. That was the big issue going into spring camp for me, is how has Nick Harbor developed as that premier type wideout. I talked to somebody close to the program last week, Bill, and I'm a little bit surprised that they're not going to go after a wide receiver in the spring cycle. At least it doesn't sound like it to me. They're planning on adding 1 or 2 defensive linemen there, and that's going to be it. They feel pretty good about this 5 or 6 member freshman class of 4 stars they have at the position. 2 or 3 of those guys are going to play as true freshmen and make an impact, I think. So South Carolina feels good about its wide receiver room right now, and despite not having that premier wide receiver 1 guy to surround Lenora Sellers with weaponry. So wide receiver is one position of interest that I'm looking forward to seeing Friday night. And with this new offense, which one of those guys within that room is going to step up and really be a reliable target for Lenora Sellers.
The discussion going into spring. Oh, boy, Nick Harbor going to completely focus on spring football and not on track and field. You talk about looking for wide receiver number 1. What have you heard as it pertains to Nick Harbor's development?
Yeah, I think he's becoming a better route runner. He's, been able to focus more on practice. Like you said, he is solely 100% football now. And part of the issue with Nick is not really been reliability. It's been, understanding the route tree. It's been getting off the line as a strong player. Part of the issue with him coming into South Carolina career a couple of years ago was he just wasn't strong enough as a SEC wide receiver. I think that has changed. He is really focused in the weight room from what I've been told, and he's a guy who could be a 50-catch, 800-yard receiver, and that's what South Carolina needs. I mean, they need Nick Harbor to be a deep threat. They need him to be a big play option on third down, and Lenora Sellers does too. I think the Jordan Dingle kid from tight end from Kentucky, he's going to be a guy that really steps up in a big way this season, and looking forward to seeing him Friday night as well.
Flipping over to the defensive side of things, obviously replacing Kyle Kennard it's not an easy task. Jalen Brown gets hurt early in the spring. I've not heard much about Desmond Umizulu and his development, but what do you expect from this what's going to be a rebuilt defensive line?
Yeah, defensive line is a vitally important aspect of this South Carolina team. I think Dylan Stewart is going to be chipped a lot this season. He's going to be double-teamed without Kyle Kennard on the other side of the defensive line, and a lot of these portal additions, have to step up. You hated to see Jalen Brown, the portal addition from Missouri, go down with an injury this spring. That was a big loss. I think South Carolina has to add a couple guys still, maybe one at defensive tackle and one at edge. Those are 2 positions that the Gamecocks just truly need more bodies at. Pass rush on third down especially was a strength of last year's team. I think that's a big reason why we saw South Carolina win 9 games and finish inside the top 20 nationally. And if that pass rush this season is not as elite as it was last fall, it really puts a lot of pressure on the back end of that defense. But I do think South Carolina secondary is going to be one of the SEC's best. NC State, transfer addition, Brandon Cisse was one of the best pickups this portal cycle of any SEC program. He's part of the reason Emory Floyd entered the portal this week. He kind of changed the complexion of that secondary and rearranged the depth chart a bit. Very, very versatile player. So I think Judge Collier, cornerback, those guys in the secondary, Kilgore, both those guys, they're going to be really solid back there. It's just the pass rush is a question that I'm wondering about.
Look at the middle of that defense with replacing Demetrius Knight. Bam Martin Scott was a guy who'd been around here, I think, since the Muschamp administration. You lose Debo Williams, who was a 4-year guy. Talk about what you're hearing from the linebacker position there as they try to replace those guys.
Yeah, you just lose. You lose a tackling machine in Debo, and then Demetrius Knight just came on so strong last year as a pass rusher, a situational player that you could throw after the quarterback. You could ask him to cover guys across the field. I do think South Carolina likes the linebackers that have picked up in the portal. Guy from Alabama, Okonkwo, really gonna have a pretty big role within this defense. But linebackers a position of interest too. Really, the front 7 defensively for South Carolina is something that maybe Clayton White's not losing sleep about this spring, but it's an area that the Gamecocks have to be good at. They're going to face a challenging schedule. unlike last year, Bill, the first half of the schedule for the Gamecocks in 2025 is much tougher than the back end. So South Carolina's going to have an opportunity to, get out the gate strong against Virginia Tech, and then you start SEC play a couple weeks later against Missouri. You got Bama coming in to do Columbia. So some very big games early, and that defense has to be playing at a top-notch level for this South Carolina team to, remain inside the top 15 and really challenge for playoff conversation.
Brad Crawford joining us this morning. That was a breakdown of South Carolina and kind of looking at them. Now let's open it up, big picture SEC, and let's start with the situation at Tennessee. What can you share with us on how this has played out and just your opinion of it?
Yeah, Nico Iamaleava is probably going to UCLA. I think it's a bad situation for Joey Aguilar, the former App State quarterback that UCLA signed in December. When I covered the Rose Bowl back in January, Bill, I was told by a source out there that Joey Aguilar is getting paid $1.2 million. We think at 24/7 that the Nico offer is around $1.5 to $2 million, which is less than what he made at Tennessee. So that means UCLA is paying almost $3.5 million for its quarterback room. That's not going to work, man. You don't pay that much for a backup quarterback who's probably not going to play. So I think the Nico situation, it deteriorated quickly with Tennessee. I give Josh Heupel a lot of credit for, having control of his locker room, basically, and saying, look, you're not worth the $4 million you're asking for. Do I think Nico's worth that much money? No. But do I think that Tennessee probably damaged its chances of making the playoff this season by letting him walk? Yes. I expect the Vols to go after a quarterback, probably a starter-type material this spring window, and if Tennessee can't find a guy, man, who's, better than your average SEC quarterback, then this probably brings Tennessee from a 9 or 10 win team to maybe a 6 or 7 win team.
Couple big years for coaches and quarterbacks. I know on 24/7 Sports, y'all talked about DJ Lagway, a lot of comparisons to Lenore Sellers. Big year for he and Billy Napier, and also in Baton Rouge, big year with Garrett Nussmeier coming back for Brian Kelly. Who needs this year more, Kelly or Napier?
Yeah, I think Napier, and Sam Pittman and Hugh Freeze are on even hotter seats than Napier right now. So there's a lot of SEC coaches that are sort of on seats that are warming up in 2025. I think Napier has a pretty good team around DJ Lagway. Lagway actually hasn't thrown a single pass this spring, so that was a little bit worrisome for Florida. But they're just keeping it safe with him. They don't want to re-injure that shoulder that he kind of hurt during the bowl game win over USF. So Florida's in pretty good position. And then at LSU, the Tigers still have to get into the portal and go after an offensive tackle, losing Will Campbell, first-round pick, losing 3 other starters up front. LSU, man, spent so much money in the portal this cycle on offensive talent, but still has to, reconfigure and remake that offensive line around Garrett Nussmeier. So LSU's a team that should probably make the playoff if the defense is better. Harold Perkins back, some other guys there, but it's a very big year for Brian Kelly, especially with the rise at Notre Dame under Marcus Freeman.
Yeah, and obviously South Carolina will get LSU there. I think it's early in the season. I don't have the schedule right in front of me, but that'll be a monster one down there. Brad, we always appreciate you taking time to join out. A lot of great information both on South Carolina and then just looking around the SEC today, and look forward to catching up with you in the coming weeks. Before you know it, be seeing you over in Atlanta for SEC Media Days.
Yeah, man, it's coming up soon. Talk to you soon, buddy.
Take care. Brad Crawford of 24/7 Sports joining us this morning to give us a breakdown there on not just South Carolina, but on the SEC spring practices as a whole. 803-404-6100. Come back, get you a little heritage update, but we'll also give you a golfing update. Wesley Bryant, what did you do? We'll tell you about it. He's suspended. I'll tell you all about it. It's the early game.
By Integrated Media, the Game TV, sponsored by Shepherd's Glass for auto, home, and commercial glass. ShepherdsGlass.com in Chapin and West Columbia. The Game TV, sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. Shepherd's Glass.
Bill Gunner for the Ecton Law Firm. All right, if you have received something from the IRS that is not good news, that is not money back, if you've received one of those mean, nasty notices, some kind of levy notice, it is time for you to call the Ecton Law Firm because they have been helping families just like yours get through the IRS maze and allowing them to have a stress-free life. So call the Ecton Law Firm today, 803-771-9800, and get a free consultation. Again, that's 803-771-9800. They have a local team dedicated to resolving your income or business tax issues for good. So you need to call John Ecton, but you need to do it today. Time is of the essence. You don't need to wait around on this and allow the IRS to do anything else. Call John Ecton and his team today, 803-771-9800. Give him that phone call. Tell him Bill Gunner sent you.
This is Pat Boyle with a Sports Minute. All the pieces have fallen into place for the Giants to take Shedeur Sanders with the 3rd overall pick. Despite the Browns seemingly needing a QB, I believe they're in love with Travis Hunter. So for the Giants, they've got a private workout scheduled with Shedeur later today. We're a week away from the draft. This isn't a smokescreen. This is a regime that is desperate to finally get their franchise QB, and they're taking one last look before they draft him next Thursday. I'm Pat Boyle.
Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like, you know to check you have your phone first, before the cab pulls away.
Hey, thanks, man. No, wait, my phone! Come back! It's my boarding pass, credit cards, phone numbers, my life! Come back!
Checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Savings vary, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Now at Verizon, we have some big news for your peace of mind. For all our customers, existing and new, we're locking in low prices for 3 years guaranteed on My Plan and My Home. That's future you peace of mind. And everyone can save on a brand new phone on My Plan when you trade in any phone from one of our top brands. That's new phone peace of mind. Because at Verizon, whether you're already a customer or you're just joining us, we got you. Visit Verizon today. Price guarantee applies to then current base monthly rate. Additional terms and conditions apply for all offers.
Early Game with Bill Gunter, former Gamecock Preston Thorne, and Jen Jensen on the Game Network and on 107.5, the Game app.
Life matters. Got problems? St. Peter says cast all your cares upon the Lord because he cares for you. One Sunday morning, I used this verse to encourage people to bring their needs to the Lord. One sincere but sad gentleman spoke to me afterwards, telling me that he felt it would be wrong to bring such trivial needs as his to a God who was busy running the universe. I asked him to consider a few things before he went home with his problems still weighing him down. Number one, if it matters to us, it matters to God. Second, God never said to bring only big problems. He's not a fair weather friend. And number three, to Almighty God, every problem is small. There's no challenge that he can't easily resolve. God cares for you, and he's big enough to carry your load. This is Pastor Stephen Chitty from Christian Life Church on Bush River Road in Columbia. Remember, life matters, and so do you.
$7:47 on a Thursday morning as we get you up and get you going. RBC Heritage set to start here in just about 13 minutes. Nick Taylor and Bud Cauley will lead the field off. Two-man groups today, and should be, again, a lot of fun down there. I'll be down there tomorrow. I'll be doing call-ins, and we may even catch up with Jay Phillips, who I believe should be awake by now. I talked to Jay yesterday and look forward to getting down there and hanging out with him at the RBC Heritage, coming up tomorrow, and he will be doing some call-ins. So we'll be hanging out down there and enjoying the scenery. A signature event now for the RBC Heritage. I believe this is the second year, maybe the third. I think it's the second year, but just looking at some of the tee times for today, if you're interested in it. Again, I just mentioned they get started. Nick Taylor and Bud Cauley go off here at 8 a.m. 8:30, Max Homa and Denny McCarthy set to go off. Coming up later on this morning, Keegan Bradley and Ashke Bataya, I believe. I can't quite remember how to pronounce his name. 9:10 this morning for them. And then you've got a strong group going off around the 10:15 10:15 to 10:40 range. Victor Hovland and Scotty Scheffler go off at 10:15. 10:25, Corey Connors and Justin Thomas. And 10:40, Shane Lowry and Jordan Spieth will take to the course this morning. So that'll be a really good trio of groups that you can check out there. Also later on, 12 o'clock today, Wyndham Clark and Will Zalatoris take to the course. 12:25, Jason Day and Tony Finau will be out there. No Rory McIlroy this week, but at 1:30 later this afternoon, when you can start catching some television coverage, Ludwig Oberg and Xander Schauffele. 1:40 today, Colin Morikawa and Sahith Theegala. And 1:50 today, Min Woo Lee and Justin Rose. So that's kind of your marquee groupings. Again, Rory not playing coming off of the Masters. Some local news coming out of the PGA Tour yesterday. Wesley Bryan suspended by the PGA Tour for participating in a live-backed event. Tour officials have not commented. Bryan told golf website Monday Q, who first reported the suspension, that he has not been informed how long the ban will last and indicated he would follow the tour's appeals process. Bryan, of course, from right here in Columbia, 35 years old, is attending but not competing this week in the PGA Tour's Corrales Punta Cana Championship down in Punta Cana, Dominican Republic. He finished second last year to Billy Horschel down there. That is the actual... that is one of the, since the RBC Heritage has got their signature event this week, that is the other event going on. Bryan no longer has full tour status, but has played in 3 events so far this year. Played as recently as March, where he tied for 25th at the Farmers. His best finish this year is finishing tied for 25th at the Farmers Insurance Open back in January, but has missed the last 2 cuts since then. But very, very interesting for him. I know Wesley reached out to us last week. I believe he was down on his way to the Masters, and we're going to try and catch up with him in a couple weeks. Obviously, if you followed the YouTube golf scene, he and his brother George, they've become popular for what they have done. I know they've done it out at the Country Club of Lexington for a while, and I think now they have got a golf course over off of, I believe it's Platte Springs Road. Selena is over there. So they've got a lot of really good things going on, but just something to keep an eye on here as it pertains to a local golfer. Also, there was a really cool video that got sent to me. I don't know when this was. Speaking of local golfers, but a really cool video that was sent to me of Dustin Johnson. I don't know when this video was taken. I believe it is on TikTok, I think, is when this was sent to me, or it was either on TikTok or Instagram. But it's Dustin Johnson talking about being out at Spring Valley Country Club, and this was during his college days. In the background of this video is Phil Mickelson and another guy, and Dustin Johnson talks about double eagling. I think he says number 2, the par 5. Those of you who've played Spring Valley may be a little more familiar with that particular course. It's been a while since I've been out to Spring Valley. But he talks about double eagling the par 5. I believe he says number 2, and then he goes to number 3, a par 3, and hitting a hole-in-one. So having a double eagle and then a hole-in-one in the first few holes of a practice round he played during his college career. Dustin's an interesting guy at this point. We've kind of talked about this. I've talked about it a lot, especially last week. What exactly is his love for golf now? He took all the money from LIV. Financially, Dustin is set for life. He was set prior to taking the money from LIV, but he has set up generational wealth with what LIV is paying him. But you kind of wonder, what is his fire for golf? I'm sure he loves showing up and playing the Masters. I'm sure he would have loved to made the cut and been a part of that. But I think it's really interesting to see where some of these LIV golfers are at. Bryson DeChambeau, Brooks Koepka are 2 guys that strike me as competitors. John Rahm as well, that want to continue to be real good and real competitive, whereas I think some of the guys have just taken the money and it's just golf. It's kind of like the way you and I probably play these days when we just go out and play a round of golf with our buddies. So really, really cool to see him at the Masters last week, but I'd like to see him be a little bit more competitive and get into the weekend round. But again, PGA Tour getting going, and with the fact that this is a signature event, it really gives our state, along with Darlington 2 weeks ago, you got the RBC Heritage, it really gives our state some signature events outside of baseball and basketball and football when you talk about golf, and obviously we're a great golf state, but you talk about having this RBC heritage now with a lot. I just mentioned all those tee times, guys like Justin Thomas and Jordan Spieth, Shane Lowry down there. Again, no Rory McIlroy this year, but you've got an incredible field, and of course what we talked about with Darlington 2 weeks ago, and we'll have Josh Harris coming up at 8:30 this morning to do our Corley Pool Solutions Checkered Flag Challenge there, as Reggie has jumped back into the lead after picking Kyle Larson as the winner at Bristol last week. Preston still bringing up the rear, and Jen, I think I told Preston yesterday to leave us a pick. Maybe we need to text him during the break and see if, or did he leave you a pick?
No, that's because there's not a race this week. Cup Series is off this week. Only the trucks and Xfinity.
So you're saying this weekend is not the 27th. I should do a better job with the calendar. Thank you. I'm glad I didn't say Talladega. And I should know what day Sunday is, because that is my son's birthday. So I should have looked at it and realized it is not the 27th this week.
I gotcha. Yep.
Thank you. Yes, I should be a better father.
And it's also Easter.
It is Easter. That I knew. But for some reason, my mind was locked in on the 27th, and I don't have a good answer for that. We'll continue to roll along. Jay Phillips set to join us. We're going to try and track down Jay Phillips. He's down there at the Heritage. I talked to him yesterday. He's taking in the sights and sounds. He's been offering advice to golfers. We'll get his opinions, or we'll try and track him down. Coming up next, you're listening to The Early Game.
107.5 The Game, broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevy Studios. You can save up to $20,000 on new Silverados. Stop by or shop online today and see how Herndon Chevy makes you smile. Together, let's drive.
Bill Gunner for Corley Pool Solutions. You've heard Jen giving the weather report. The pool weather is just about on us. I mean, it may actually be on us. And if you have not been having your pool maintained, boy, you're already behind the eight ball. But with Corley Pool Solutions, you can get caught up very, very quickly. And with Corley Pool Solutions, they believe in providing the absolute highest quality swimming pool service at the most affordable price to you and your family. With flat rate pricing, including all of the chemicals, it's more affordable for you to contact Corley Pool Solutions than for you to try and maintain the pool yourself. And why not use the experts? With over 20 years of experience in the industry, Corley Pool Solutions knows exactly what to do. If you got algae, if you got any other issues, they know how to get it fixed. So give them a phone call and line up your maintenance today. Not tomorrow, today. 803-445-8109. Again, that's 803-445-8109. That's Corley Pool Solutions.
This report is sponsored by Carolina Conditions Home Services. Carolina Conditions Home Services specializes in generators, drains, and electric car chargers, making them your one-stop shop for all your comfort needs. Visit their website at carolinaconditions.com or call 803-233-7172 for expert service you can count on.
Sponsored by Northern Tool and Equipment.
At Northern Tool and Equipment in Columbia, we're giving away one free Monster Jam event ticket to the first 100 people who make a $50 purchase on qualifying brands. Hurry in. Offer in soon. Northern Tool and Equipment.
Offers not in conjunction, plus text and title with approved credit. Call 888-320-6359 for details. JT at JT's Kia is thrilled to announce for the first time ever $10,000 in customer cash. Use it to pay off your car or lower your payments. Or keep the cash, it's yours. Get 0% for 60 months. And don't miss 2 new Kias for $222 a month. Even if your credit's been turned down before, come see JT. JT's Kia, I-77 at Killian Road, or the new JT's Kia Greystone.
If you've ever been to a Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union, you know there's something different about the people who work there. They're the type of people who mail a wallet they found on the street back to the owner, who always share their fries, who say bless you when you sneeze, even if it's like 5 sneezes in a row, who get just as excited when something good happens to you as if it happened to them. You know what? Maybe you should just stop by sometime and see for yourself. Palmetto Citizens. Feel the love. Federally insured by NCUA.
For pure safety and total clean, call Zerorez. Right now, get 3 rooms for the price of 2. That's 3 rooms of carpet cleaned, but only pay for 2. Mention me, Bill Gunner, at 107.5 The Game to secure this deal today. Book online at ZerorezColumbia.com.
Hate paying for streaming? Well, the 107.5 The Game app is free. Yes, free. Just download the 107.5 The Game app. And now, traffic sponsored by Wetzel's Automotive on the Game Network.
I-77 at Shop Road, still an accident. They're working there. Also, downtown Columbia, Laurel Street at Hardin, and Percival at Clemson Road. 77 under sunny skies today. Can be very nice. And the nice weather continues. Sunny tomorrow, 84. Then we're in the mid-80s for the remainder of the weekend. And starting out the work week, might see some showers popping in maybe around Tuesday or so. But right now, it is a cooler start to your morning, but it will warm up quickly. But grab that jacket. It's 44 on 107.5 The Game.
Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game. WNKT Eastover, Columbia. A Cumulus media station. The early game with Bill Gunter.
I love this photo.
Former Gamecock Preston Thorne.
My eyes look phenomenal.
And Jen Jensen.
The blue in my eye stands out so well.
The day of the photos, I believe the quote was, "I love how it makes my eyes pop."
My eyes, yeah.
It does.
On the Game Network.
I love me some me.
And on 107.5, the Game app.
Getting you going, hour number 3 here. Bill Gunner and Jen Jensen, Preston Thorne off to Spartanburg as we roll along on your Thursday morning. Getting you ready for what's going to be a great weekend, I think, of sports. Hopefully a great weekend. Depends, I guess, on how you want to take wins and losses and how it kind of factors into your take on great. But obviously baseball starting tonight. We'll listen to a little bit more Paul Maneri coming up here in just a minute. But we've got the 3-game set against Mississippi getting going later on this evening, 6:30, and we'll have that for you right here on 107.5 The Game. That will follow Carolina calls tonight. Again, Mississippi coming into town, and they are a top 15 team, ranked 11th in the country. So the Gamecocks with another big opponent, and as we mentioned, starting the back half of conference play. I wouldn't say get your hopes up, but if you were to be that eternal optimist, if you were the person who says, hey, we can do this, I think the number you're shooting for in conference play is 11-4 with these conference series. We mentioned it the other day. You've still got some difficult series here coming up starting tonight against Mississippi. You've got Kentucky on the road next weekend. That'll be followed by Florida visiting here May 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Auburn at Auburn on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday series, and then wrapping up the season, LSU coming to town. 3 of those teams currently ranked inside the top 15 with Mississippi, LSU, and Auburn all being up there, Florida and Kentucky not. But I think 11-4 is the number you are shooting for there in conference play. And then along with going 11-4 in conference play, if you're talking about trying to put yourself in contention to get to the NCAA tournament. If you were listening, I think it was Jamie Bradford pointed out all the SEC teams will be in Hoover this year, so all 16 go, so you're not in danger of missing the SEC tournament. But the NCAA tournament, if you're even discussing, if you're even thinking, if you're that eternal optimist and you think we can still get this done, 11-4 in conference is probably what you got to do, and then you got to collect the wins against North Florida, against Charleston Southern, against Winthrop, in your 3 non-conference midweek games. Those will be the big ones as well. So you're essentially saying down the stretch, 11-4, no worse than 11-4 in conference, and finishing with 3 midweek non-conference wins. So that's kind of the recipe for that. One of the things that has been on some people's mind, has the SEC figured out Ethan Petrie? Here is what Paul Maneri had to say last night on Carolina Calls regarding that question.
Yeah, that's a really good question, and it's been we forget sometimes because our expectations are so high. But Ethan Petrie's hitting .346. He's got 10 home runs. He's got 34 RBIs, and his strikeouts are way down from what they've been actually in his first 2 years here. But I know what you mean, because we expect Petrie to hit a ball hard every time he's up. And, in Saturday's game against Texas A&M, he had 2 big hits for us, 2 big RBI singles. And but then when he came up in the 9th inning with the bases loaded and a chance to really kind of put the dagger in them with one good swing, the wind's galing out, bases are loaded, he hits one out, all of a sudden we're winning by 9 runs going to the bottom of the 9th inning, but he struck out. And I know that's frustrating for people, but Ethan is such a great kid. He works so hard. Nobody feels worse when he doesn't come through than he does. I can see it in his face when he comes back to the dugout after not coming through for the team. So I don't know if it's the league has figured him out, or sometimes he just goes through little ups and downs. This is a hard game to play. Arguably, hitting a baseball is the most difficult thing to do in all of sports. A golf ball sits here on a tee. But, sometimes I feel like it's making faces at you the way I hit it. But a baseball, it's coming in at anywhere between 85 and 95 miles an hour, and you don't know if it's going to be straight. You don't know if it's going to be a strike. You don't know if it's going to hit you in the head. And then you're taking a round bat and trying to hit a round ball squarely. It's a very difficult thing to do, and sometimes it almost looks like players aren't even trying because the game can just get the best of them.
So, again, you hear the numbers there, 346, 10 home runs, 34 RBIs. Certainly Ethan has had a very strong season, and we continue to watch, as I just mentioned, at least 18 baseball games to go for him as he goes after the all-time South Carolina career home run record currently held by Justin Smoke, just 8 away from that. But Ethan certainly still having a good year. Is going to be drafted in the first round of the Major League Baseball draft, having to maybe do a little bit more work than necessary. But you hope some of these younger players can start to help out. KJ Scobie and Bo Hollins in particular. And one of the things last night that Paul Maneri talked about is putting these young guys in the lineup.
Most definitely, Derek. I mean, that's a great observation by you. We have a freshman at third base and a freshman at first base, and a lot of times a catcher is a freshman as well. I don't even know if any other teams have one freshman in the starting lineup, much less 3. They're, like Mitch Sanford's probably 24 years old now. We have a couple players that are 24 years old. It has become an older game, and like you said, the players are just bigger and stronger than they've ever been before. All the time in the weight room, all the time working with a nutritionist, just the natural maturation of one's body, the experience that they gain, all those factors go into it. And, you run up against teams that look like Texas A&M and Arkansas, just big physical guys where 1 through 9 they can hit the ball out of the ballpark. If you don't have overpowering arms, which we're kind of at a lack for right now, I'll tell you, it's a tough formula to try to get those kind of hitters out with 89 to 91 miles an hour. Some of the pitchers for the other teams, when we're facing them, they're throwing 97, 98. There was a kid from Arkansas throwing 99 miles an hour. It just makes it difficult. And that's what we've got to do, is we've got to develop those kind of pitchers, and we've got to recruit some pitchers right away that can throw the ball with a little bit more velocity. I'm not saying a guy like Ashton Crowther or Brandon Stone can't be successful, but they have to be probably role-type players instead, a role-type pitcher, certain situations where they can excel. But you got to have some guys with some power arms, and that's what we're striving to bring in.
A lot of information there from Paul Maneri, and you hear him saying striving to bring in. I will say, if you questioned after last weekend, the 17-0 loss and then blowing that 10-run lead, 12-2 in the 6th inning, if you kind of questioned the fire that Paul Maneri may have and say, well, boy, he might be looking around. Unfortunately, whether it's good or bad, he's admitted the league a little bit more difficult than maybe he anticipated. That has changed a good bit since he was last in 2021. You hear him talking about, hey, this is what we've got to do in the future. We got to bring some more power pitchers, some stronger arms in to be able to handle all of this. And so it doesn't sound like a guy who's considering anything other than returning in 2026 and leading the program and trying to get South Carolina back to the historical success that they have had, not just in the league, but nationally. And that sounds like something I'm sure he and Jeremiah Donati will sit down at some point in the offseason, and he will give his assessment of the team. And Donati, who comes from TCU, where he saw some really good baseball teams, will kind of have the same opinion, and they'll go back and forth there. So that's a little bit coming up. Jay is going to call us in the next break, so we will get to him. Also, we just had Brad Crawford on coming up. We had Brad Crawford on in the 7:30 segment. He mentioned that Nico Iamaleava is likely going to UCLA. UCLA has put out a report, or not UCLA, but Bruin Report Online. Bruin Report Online has put out a report now, and it starts with UCLA just made a huge splash, landing #1 overall transfer quarterback Nico Iamaleava out of the transfer portal, according to sources. It says Bruce Feldman was the first to report the news after Bruin Report Online revealed earlier on Wednesday that UCLA had an NIL offer into Iamaleava. I'm trying the hardest I can to say that correctly. But so it appears that, and we just had Brad Crawford on, he basically alluded that was what was going to happen, that Nico was going to end up out there. He laid out the thing with the Appalachian State transfer quarterback getting a little over $1 million, and basically their quarterback room now has two guys at close to $3 million total. Not necessarily how you want to spend your NIL money when you're spending over $1 million on a backup quarterback. But according to Bruin Report Online, this does appear to be something that will become official later on today. And when I say official, I guess you'll see both UCLA put something out as well as Nico as well. 803-404-6100. We'll come back. We'll catch up with Jay Phillips this morning. He is down at the Heritage. They have teed off. I've got it up on ESPN Plus, and we will catch up with him, see how things are feeling down there, and also talk a little football, a little spring football with him. You're listening to The Early Game.
107.5 The Game in Columbia, 100.5 The Game in Florence, and 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. The Game Network.
Listen to Gamecocks baseball on The Game. And if a Gamecocks batter hits a grand slam,
you could win cash. You could win cash. You could win cash. You could win cash in the Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union Grand Slam giveaway. Go to 1075thegame.com and register. Brought to you by Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union and The Game.
107.5 The Game, broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevy Studios. You can save up to $20,000 on new Silverados. Stop by or shop online today and see how Herndon Chevy makes you smile. Together, let's drive.
You know, they say perfection is a journey, and our journey led us to Carolina Stone Craftsman just outside Columbia in Chapin. When we were updating a bathroom in our house, we needed to find a countertop, and we were recommended to head up there, and we did. We toured their showroom. We talked to Ethan and Rebecca, and they were very helpful because we weren't exactly sure what we wanted. So they helped us figure out the best options for both that the guest bathroom and then for our master bathroom. And it was fantastic. Would not change a thing in our experience. They have that showroom inside. They also have an outdoor showroom for hardscape work that they can do, maybe build you an outdoor kitchen. So many options for your home and making some updates. If you're interested or in the market for countertops for your kitchen or bath or something outdoors, visit Carolina Stone Craftsman. Tell them Jen Jensen sent you. They're family owned and operated. Carolina Stone Craftsman, just beyond Columbia and Chapin and beyond your expectations. CarolinaStoneCraftsman.com.
Plus tax, tags, and title with approved credit. Call 866-243-4623 for details. Do you need credit for a new Jeep or Ram? Do you think your credit doesn't qualify? Think again. JT fights harder than anyone to get you approved and can make the deals other dealers can't. Even if you owe more than your car is worth or you've had a divorce or bankruptcy, JT's got your back. 2 locations, JT's Jeep Ram Lexington or Greystone Boulevard. Ram Truck Month.
Tired of the endless wait for a tea time at your club? Discover the best kept secret in the Midlands and experience a country club like no other. Orangeburg Country Club. Immerse yourself in a lifestyle that combines readily available tea times with exceptional social and dining experiences. Weekdays or weekends, they've got your golf game covered with pristine conditions and fast greens. Ready to elevate your leisure time? Contact the club at info@orangeburgcc.com or call Call 803-534-5988. Join us and swing into the good life.
At Atkins Law, we believe who you hire matters, but don't take our word for it. Hear it from our clients.
From the front desk to the paralegals answering my questions to the one I have in my back, I couldn't ask for a better team of professionals.
From my first phone call to meeting Joe in person, I knew I was going to be in good hands.
Holly has a great practice, and her various experiences brings tons of knowledge to each of her clients.
Remember, who you hire matters.
Call Atkins Law, 803-251-6406.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, the ultimate lunch lineup boasts wall-to-wall sports and scenic views. When you're hungry and in a hurry, the Scratch Kitchen delivers lunch in the clutch. I mean, where else can you order a 29-degree draft beer and a quickie combo on your lunch break? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Twin Peaks Scratch Kitchen scores every time. Dig into hand-smashed burgers, chef-inspired flatbreads, and more at your local lodge.
What's up, Gamecocks? Ben Cato, third-generation owner of Cato's Power Equipment. If you own a lawnmower, one of two things is probably true. Either you've been putting it through the ringer, mulching up leaves and pine straw all winter, or you haven't touched it in quite some time. Either way, Cato's can get it tuned up, repaired, and ready to work. Weeds are peeking their heads out of the ground, and warm temps mean grass is about to grow. Don't wait until our shop is full. Visit Cato's today and get your lawnmower and grass cutting tools ready to keep you cutting.
This is Monster Jam. Witness big air, two-wheel skills, backflips, and all-out racing. It's the only place to see the world's best riders tear up the dirt in your favorite Monster Jam trucks, like Gravedigger, El Toro Loco, Megalodon, and more. It's big-time fun for the whole family. Monster Jam, as big as it gets. Coming to Colonial Life Arena April 26th and 27th. Brought to you by BKT Tires. Visit monsterjam.com today.
And now, traffic sponsored by Wetzel's Automotive on the Game Network.
I-20 eastbound at Broad River Road. We have a report of an accident there. Laurel Street at Hardin in downtown Columbia, still working an accident there. And they're saying still Johnson Marina Road at Highway 76 could still be slowing things down. But boy, the forecast looking pretty nice. 77 today, mostly sunny. 84 for the high tomorrow under sunny skies, 87 on Saturday. So basically we keep the pattern of being in the 80s, which is awesome for the foreseeable future. Chance for maybe some rain or storms coming in Tuesday afternoon. Right now, though, still need that jacket. Sitting at 44 on 107.5 The Game.
Former Gamecock Preston Thorne and Jen Jensen on the Game Network and on 107.5 The Game app.
$8:16 on your Thursday morning, opening day down at the Heritage, where they are off and running. I got it up here on my little RBC Heritage main feed on ESPN Plus, and look forward to being down there tomorrow and hanging out with my good buddy, my co-host. We still technically have the cocktail hour. We just haven't done it, and that therefore, Jay, you haven't been able to make any boat jokes, but it is officially boating season.
Well, listen, I can make a ton of boat jokes, man, because there's a ton of boats here. But yeah, they're not. Listen, these are a lot smaller than what you're used to, aren't they? I mean, you got one of them Tiger Woods type boats.
Yeah, that's. I was hoping that they would allow me to bring that down there and just park it right there on the first tee box. Not what they did. They basically said no. We do not like.
No, it's hard on the first tee, but you can do it right here off of 18.
Okay.
No, there are actually. I'm guessing some of these boats got to cost at least $10 or $12 man. So, that's
just that. There's a couple just fishermen out there just hanging out. But how is it?
Sure.
How is it? You've been down there for a couple days. I know you've done the show, and they're getting going this morning. What's it been like down there?
Yeah, activity level this morning is much higher, which is kind of fun. You get that buzz because you know that this thing. I mean, they're teeing off here now. Actually, I think we're into Group 3. Matt Kuchar is getting ready to tee off. Max Homa is coming up here shortly. I want to go see him for a little bit. Some of the bigger names go a little later on in the morning, but it's so much fun down here. And you know, a lot of folks that are listening have been, Bill, and you've been down here before. It's great for South Carolina. We if you think about it, we kind of now, you know, Myrtle Beach has a PGA stop now, but it's, with all due respect, it's kind of the secondary because I think it coincides with the Wells Fargo. You know, like the PGA's, you know, has one going on right now down in the DR because these are signature events, and so it's not a full PGA field. It's you know, the top ranked players, but no, man, it's exciting, you know, for our state. It's exciting today. The weather. This is 3 straight days, man, of basically no clouds in the sky. I mean, I'm overusing this term this week in Columbia and down here, but it's a Chamber of Commerce day. It is perfect. And as we speak, no wind. And I told Elijah last year there was a nice period on the Friday round, especially, Bill, where there was no wind and it was maybe low 80s. And these guys, you know, to use the term, they were shooting darts, you know, because these are tiny little greens, but these guys are amazing at what they do. They were just plopping them down without any wind. So at least for now, the guys that are teeing off and playing early might put some low scores up.
Well, and it's a different field for a lot of people that have been in the past. Jay, I haven't been since it became a signature event. But what we've always loved and what a lot of golfers loved was you come off the Masters, which is, you know, pretentious, if you will. I think that's just the right way. It's fun, but it's a little pretentious. And we were reading the list of rules. You can't wear your hat backwards at the Masters. You can't run. Don't sit on the grass. All kinds of things like that. The Heritage became known as just go down there and have a few beverages and hang out and relax. Dustin Johnson famously said, a little bit too much of a party scene when he was trying to do a little bit of recovery. He said, I don't need to be around that. How much has the vibe changed with it being a signature event now? None?
It's still a party. It's still a party, my man.
Good.
It's still a party. In fact, I saw a guy that looked a lot like you running around with like only his boxers on, and I was like, oh, that looks like Gunner, but it wasn't you. So
tomorrow, or maybe Saturday morning. Just give me a day. I actually am doing work here from the studio.
Yeah, well, that's what we call it. So that's good. No, it's still a huge party. In fact, I was joking yesterday with Terry and Tyler. Where I'm able to do the show from is adjacent to 18, and they've got the big double-decker, you know, temporary skyboxes, and I'm not too far off when I tell you it felt like they were unloading like a whole store's worth from like greens or bottles. You know, and that's just this one. There's another one that's just like this in terms of a double-decker down at 17 green and 18 tee. And I'm going to assume that they have unloaded the same amount, not to mention all the other hospitality places. But it's grown, man. Last year, this had a double decker here at the 18 green, but the other one I just mentioned was a single deck. Now it's a double. They've got more hospitality. And the good news is, Bill, seriously, people want it. That's why they're doing it. There's demand, and they've fulfilled the demand with more premium seating. There's a lot of great, even if you're not coming for premium seating, I don't mean it to sound that way. If you're just, you know, a day patron, there's tons of great food. There's all kinds of beverages. The pro shops are just stocked with cool stuff. Again, the scenery is fantastic. The weather is perfect. So it will be a party. There's no question. But I think that some of the guys, you mentioned DJ a few years ago saying that kind of thing, but the big names are all here for one main reason. The winner's going to get about $2.5 million, and the total purse is around $20 million. So there's a lot to play for real.
No, it's going to be a really good event. Rory not there this week, but again, should be really fun. Let's change subjects here for just a minute since I get to have you on our show here in the morning. Spring game tomorrow night. You ran into Shane Beamer down there. I think was he playing in the Pro-Am, or was he just down there observing?
He was playing. He was playing, yeah. And I saw Shane and Coach Lamont Paris after they teed off on 16 and spoke for a few minutes and walked with him until he had to go hit his approach shot, and then he was on the show yesterday with us, and he wanted to. All we did basically was talk golf. Actually, we talked golf, and we talked about the process of how they draft the team for the spring game. So I did not, on purpose, I did not get into any football because Lord knows the man's talked enough about his team this week. He didn't need me to bug him. But if you need, as you know now, if you need, real insight into this club, you need to call Coach Elijah Campbell because he is now part of the offensive staff and will be calling the play in tomorrow night's game.
Calling a play or some plays?
I'm just told but hey, you know what? If it works, then they may just use his creativity to keep on rolling. I have no idea. This could be the start. Listen, I'm not saying it was like 107.5 or me. Okay, I'm not saying that, Bill. But you may recall that one Deuce Staley worked with us for like 3 years, and then he became a well-paid and very successful assistant coach in the National Football League. Now, Elijah Campbell is going to be calling a play in the spring game, and it may lead to something more. So, again, coincidence? I don't know. I mean, if he becomes a full-time coach, I'll take all the credit, just like I do with Deuce.
Well, didn't we kind of Eric Kimry? Didn't we send him off back into the coaching world? Deuce?
Sort of.
Yeah.
Sort of.
I can see that. Trey Dyson.
I mean, I am here to steal and grab as much false credit as I possibly can in this life.
Real quick, Elijah, can we think more of a run-first guy or air-it-out guy?
Ooh, well, that's a fair question, and I don't have an answer, if only because Elijah was going to wait until he saw the rosters that were drafted for the Garnet and Black teams, and then figure out he has a coaches meeting today, and then he was going to figure out which set of personnel he was going to be calling a play for, and then design accordingly. So I could not at this point tell you. I would say there's a 50. Let's call it a 45-45. With a 10% chance of something that we'd never dream of.
Okay. All right. So we will keep an eye on that. Real quick, just a couple minutes left with you. Anything in particular that you are interested in hearing about tomorrow night? We've talked about the backup quarterbacks, wide receivers, replacing guys on defense. But anything in particular that you'll have your ears a little more perked up for on Friday night or Saturday as some information comes out?
I'd like to know what the wide receivers look like. I think we know about Mazio and Nick. How are both of them progressing? How are both of them acclimating to more of a Mike Shula feel with still Mike Furry coaching them? Who's going to emerge behind them? Does Dre Jacobs take another step? Does Jared take another step? Just some of these youngsters that they've got, because they recruited very well at that position, as you know. So that, to me, like what you're surrounding Lenoris with, is a big deal. I know a lot of people always get concerned about line play, and I am. I mean, you should always be concerned about it, but at least from my own perspective, I think they've got some really good depth there, and they do on both sides still have some experience. I know you lost a lot, but you've recruited well and you've developed well. So I'm not as anxious about those spots as maybe I am, if anxious is the right word, but again, I want to see receiver depth. I want to get a feel for how the run game is going again to help Lenoris in terms of not having him be as much of a runner. Not that you don't want him to get hurt or anything like that. And he's going to run. We know that. I mean, so it's not about I don't want him to run anymore. No, he'll run and he'll run plenty, but more by design and more by when they want him to, relative to sort of the scramble. So. Yeah, maybe those two things on offense. And then defensively, they need some depth maybe in the back. But how much do we learn tomorrow night? That's always one of my things about spring games. That's why I build dead serious. That's why I want a real game. Even if it's against an in-state FCS school in April. I just think you get a better gauge of who you are if you're playing somebody else and you got ones and twos running out there. You know what I mean? So, but we're not there yet. But those would be my spots. Again, receiver depth. What you've recruited well. Now let's see how it starts to develop.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. Of course, I won't be there. I'll be down there hanging out with you. We're going to hang around and take in some of the heritage tomorrow, and it'll be a lot of fun. I look forward to seeing you down there. I know you're doing the show today. You got call-ins, and so you'll have updates throughout the day on how things are going down there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just looking real quick here. I think the group that I will be walking with today for a little bit, Victor Hovland and Scotty Scheffler tee off at 10:15, and then at 10:40, Shane Lowry and Jordan Spieth. So those are two that I would like to follow and keep an eye on. So I'll have some reports and others, but those are two of the big pairings that go off this morning here in a little bit.
Look forward to it, buddy. I appreciate you hopping on this morning. Go out there and enjoy. And if you see anybody who needs golf advice, give it to him. That's what people do. I think I played in a group 2 weeks ago with people. I had two guys just giving me advice left and right. I didn't know what that meant for my game. Couldn't say I felt very good with it. But, Jay, everybody has golf advice. Get your hands higher. Bend your, turn your hips a little bit more. Don't be afraid to offer Schauffele or Lowry or Justin Rose any advice since they didn't win the Masters last week.
I'll just say, hit it straight, put it in the hole. I won't yell that. I am not that guy. People do. I am not that guy. I promise.
Well, we will bond well tomorrow. But I look forward to seeing you and appreciate you hopping on this morning.
Yep.
Take care.
All right, man. Y'all be good.
All right. Jay Phillips there down at the Heritage. He is out there on the grounds. You heard he's out there having a really good time, and I look forward to seeing him, and we're going to walk around with him tomorrow when I get down there. 803-404-6100. We come back. Time to talk a little NASCAR. No race this week. Jen has informed me that tomorrow's not the 27th. That's all right. We'll still catch up with Josh Harris and look back at really the first part of the season. What do you say, Jen? We're about at the first quarter?
Yeah, probably about
the first quarter. We'll look at the first quarter of the season. You're listening to the early game.
107.5 The Game in Columbia, 100.5 The Game in Florence, and 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. The Game Network. Everybody loves streaming till you have to pay for it. Just download the 107.5 The Game app and stream us for free.
Bill Gunner for Zero Res Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning. All right, we're wrapping up the springtime where the pollen was probably all over your shoes or the kids' shoes or something of that nature, and that can end up making the house a little dirty. Well, guess what? Zero Res, with their patented ZR water technology, scientifically proven to keep the carpets, rugs, tile, and upholstery all insanely clean. They're ready to get that pollen out, make those carpets and upholstery all look insanely clean again. Just take advantage of their spring sale right now. Contact Zero Res and mention me, Bill Gunner, at 107.5 The Game, and you'll get 3 rooms cleaned for the price of 2. You heard that right. 3 rooms cleaned, but you will only pay for 2. So give them a phone call, 803-262-4020, or book online, ZeroResColumbia.com, where they do not leave behind any sticky, soapy residue, no harsh chemicals, so you can feel comfortable with everything on your carpet. 803-262-4020. Zero Res, spell it backwards and forwards. It's the right way to clean.
Sponsored by Northern Tool and Equipment.
At Northern Tool and Equipment in Columbia, we're giving away 1 free Monster Jam event ticket to the first 100 people who make a $50 purchase on qualifying brands. Hurry in. Offer in soon. Northern Tool and Equipment.
Plus tax tags and title with approved credit. Call 866-243-4623 for details. Do you need credit for a new Jeep or Ram? Do you think your credit doesn't qualify? Think again. JT fights harder than anyone to get you approved and can make the deals other dealers can't. Even if you owe more than your car is worth or you've had a divorce or bankruptcy, JT's got your back. 2 locations, JT's Jeep Ram Lexington or Greystone Boulevard. Ram Truck Month.
Learning to drive, getting married, the birth of your children. These are the life-changing events you remember your whole life. I'm Jason Reynolds. A serious injury changes your life too, in a very different way.
I'm Stephen Samuels. At the Samuels Reynolds Law Firm, we get you. We can't erase the injury or change the past, but we can get you through the pain and anxiety and help you on to a brighter future.
We get South Carolina because we're true South Carolina. Samuels Reynolds. True injuries, true lawyers. 803-779-4000.
Langston Moore here with RoofingAllAmericans.com. There's a storm coming. No, not a sandstorm, but hurricane season, storm season, wind season. It seems like it's just like football season all year round. It's storm season all year round. And Roofing All Americans wants to block and tackle all the headaches that come with roof repair, roof maintenance, and just handling a roof and maintaining your home. With Roofing All Americans, it's been over 20 plus years that these guys have been in the construction and roofing business, and they want to take care of your toughest roofing and construction needs. Call them today at 803-250-1395 for a free, no obligation quotes. That's 803-250-1395 or Roofing All Americans, or check us out on the web at roofingallamericans.com. That's roofingallamericans.com.
Firehouse Subs has partnered with Hot Ones to introduce 2 new limited-time subs. The Zesty Garlic Hook and Ladder features Hot Ones garlic Fresno hot sauce, crispy garlic chips, and marinated onions for a milder heat.
The Spicy Dill Hook and Ladder takes it up a notch with the Last Dab Pickle, a dill pickle marinated in Reaper hot sauce. Both subs are served on the classic Hook and Ladder you know and love with piled high smoked turkey, honey ham, melted pepper jack cheese, lettuce, and tomatoes.
Order both subs today at a Firehouse Subs near you.
Powered by Integrated Media, The Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. For auto, home, and commercial glass. ShepherdsGlass.com. In Chapin and West Columbia. The Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. Shepherd's Glass. Hate paying for streaming? Well, the 107.5 The Game app is free. Yes, free. Just download the 107.5 The Game app. And now, traffic sponsored by Wetzel's Automotive on the Game Network.
I-20 eastbound and Broad River Road still reporting there's a slowdown there. Laurel Street at Hardin in downtown Columbia, and Highway 378 near Sunset Boulevard. 77, that's what we're looking for a high today under sunny skies. It's going to stay sunny at least through tomorrow, and we're going to be in the mid-80s for the foreseeable future. As I mentioned earlier, probably on Tuesday evening we might see some rain or potential storms coming in for the few days beyond that. But again, we're keeping the temperatures more 80s like, getting a little more warmer spring. We'll welcome that. Just have to get past this morning where it's 44 right now on the early game.
The Early Games Checkered Flag Challenge with Josh Harris, the president of Darlington Raceway. Sponsored by Corley Pool Solutions. Call Corley Pool Solutions at 803-445-8109 or check them out at corleypoolsolution.com.
Big thank you to Jay Phillips for joining us there. Big thank you to Brad Crawford for joining us earlier in the 7 o'clock hour. And we'll catch up with Josh Harris of Darlington Raceway in just a second. Again, want to remind you about tonight's baseball game, 6:30. No pregame. It'll come on right after Carolina Calls, which we'll have right here. You want to hear from Shane Beamer tonight? Want to hear what he thinks going into the spring game? Make sure you tune in to 107.5 The Game with Shane Beamer tonight. Carolina Calls at 5:30. And then at 6:30 again, we'll have South Carolina baseball. And that leads me to reminding you, make sure you go to our website, 1075thegame.com, for the Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union Grand Slam giveaway. If a batter hits a Grand Slam tonight, $150 is at stake. We will draw a winner. The pot currently at $150. Go to 1075thegame.com and get registered. It is the Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union Grand Slam giveaway. Joining us now, as he does each and every Thursday, live from Darlington Raceway, is our good buddy, Mr. Josh Harris, who... Josh, we didn't get to catch up with Jen last week, so one thing I want to do is have you and Jen. We talked with you last week about the Darlington race. We didn't really get to hear Jen's kind of assessment of it with your take, so let you and Jen kind of get off and discuss what y'all saw 2 weeks ago when we were down there.
All right, Jen, the floor is yours.
Oh goodness. Yeah, let's not do that. No, I thought the racing was really good. I thought it was a great weekend overall. The weather certainly cooperated. And it was fun to see Byron dominate, but then found out that for sure they're seeing that pit strategies are becoming increasingly important at Darlington. But overall, I think it was great racing, and I'm already excited about the Southern 500.
Yeah, I thought certainly William Byron had a dominating start, probably the first 2/3 or so of that race, and I think we've seen that over the last couple of races. Some of these teams have seemed to have found something at certain tracks, and but that's why you stick around to the end, is you never know how the strategy is going to unfold, when cautions may shake things up, and that's what we had happen. You got to give kudos to Denny Hamlin's team for putting him out front and on that last restart, and ultimately him getting his 5th Darlington win, which puts him in some pretty elite company here.
And I'm wondering, are we going to see some changes as they were highlighting how the carrier for the jack how he was doing something a little bit different that may have shaved, a second or two off of their pit strategies or their pit time. So I'm wondering, are we now going to see others practicing similar maneuvers?
Well, I think that's a foregone conclusion that you will see other teams doing that. If there's something that one team is doing to make speed, whether that's speed on the track or in the pits, and it's something that others can replicate, there's not too many secrets around there anymore as much attention as it gets. So I would say this week, especially for the Cup teams being an off week, there's probably a lot of pit practice going on to see how they can improve a tenth or two here or there on their pit stops.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. Looking past or going beyond Darlington to Bristol and short track racing, kind of a lot of controversy or a lot of chatting about how the racing just hasn't been quite as good. I mean, especially coming off of Darlington where it was good racing. The short track racing and the discussions of how that was. What were your thoughts on the race on Sunday?
Yeah, it was one of those where I think going into this Bristol race, there's a lot of uncertainty around the tires because of what they saw last spring unexpectedly with a lot of the tires giving up after about 30 to 35 laps. And then coming back in the fall and not seeing that. And then you get practice on Saturday and you started to see it again. And then Sunday, you didn't see it. So there's a lot of uncertainty. I think the one thing that has come from all of that is for Bristol specifically, it's really about the temperature, I think, of the track and of the air. And as soon as it warms up a little, the tires do not give way the way they did last year. So I think at least now NASCAR and Goodyear have a little bit of more knowledge about why we saw that happen in the spring of 24, and maybe can go to work now on constructing a tire that will give a little bit more tire wear earlier in the run without the major problems they had over 30 laps. But then, once they kind of figured out those tires are going to last, Kyle Larson has been dominant there at Bristol the last couple of years, and he put on another clinic. And sometimes, throughout history at Bristol and other tracks, we've seen that happen. So.
Yeah, he was dominant really throughout the weekend. And when he was on Kevin Harvick's podcast, everybody's talking about it now, where he said basically he enjoys going. There's a couple races that he loves and he does really well, and that's when he will run multiple series. But when he was saying how he actually kind of does it partially to school the younger drivers and kind of, as he put it, embarrass NASCAR, which I thought, he might see a ding for that. But just to he said, I just think it's a good opportunity to let the other drivers know that you think you're doing really well in this series, but the bar is a lot higher than you think. So he kind of makes them work harder and maybe re-strategize and work on themselves during the race.
Yeah, I think if there's one guy out there racing today in any series that's ultra competitive, it's Kyle Larson. And, it seems like any chance he gets to get behind the wheel of any sort of car or sprint car or whatever it may be, he's jumping in and he's out there to win. And so I think, his comments have certainly got a lot of attention. I think he's, a little bit, people like to call him, blunt Larson sometimes. He just says what he thinks, and he's not real concerned about the backlash. But what we saw in the Xfinity Series a couple of weeks ago at Martinsville, and then NASCAR having a drivers meeting with all of them here at Darlington early in the morning on Saturday to try to get things on the right track. I think it's all about teaching these young guys as they're coming up, like, hey, you've got to work hard to get to where you ultimately want to be. And maybe every once in a while, a guy like Larson coming down and running with them and kind of showing them, hey, here's where the bar is, probably gets them a little more motivated.
No race this weekend, so we won't be making picks, but there is something really entertaining happening. Excuse me. The NASCAR Xfinity Series goes to Rockingham, and I pass Rockingham a lot when I'm going to Raleigh to see my sister. Rockingham was a track that growing up I didn't know much about, but I heard a lot about, much like Darlington. Josh, I'll start with you and then go to Jen. Your thoughts on the Xfinity Series giving Rockingham a chance?
Yeah, I think it's great for the Xfinity and Truck Series to kind of have a weekend where they're top billing, and going back to a historic track like Rockingham, a lot of our longtime fans have really enjoyed NASCAR going back to some of these legacy tracks. When you think about North Wilkesboro the last couple of years with the All-Star race, now Rockingham, you've got Bowman Gray Stadium where we ran the Clash. So I think it's really cool to go back. It takes a lot of work and effort to get these tracks ready to host the Xfinity Series and the Truck Series in ARCA. Sounds like they've got a big weekend on tap in Rockingham, and tickets I think are sold out for Saturday, and some still available for Friday. So great to see. Fans have to turn out to these events for them to be successful. So it's good to see our friends up the road about an hour here from Darlington getting their chance to shine, and the Xfinity and Truck Series getting their chance to shine.
Agreed. I'm looking forward to watching the races. I think it's going to be great.
Opens the door, Josh, you think, to NASCAR giving it a shot, whether it's the opening race or anything?
I mean, I think there's all kinds of possibilities. The thing that I think everyone has to be mindful of is, there was a reason why some of these tracks, we went away from them at one point, is, the market wasn't supporting so many races in a small condensed area. So we just have to be careful, I think, of how we're strategically going back to them, spreading them out a little bit on the calendar. But I think this is a good opportunity for Rockingham to see how the racing is, see how the fans turn out. And then, Ben Kennedy, his team that works on the schedule, we'll see how it shakes out for 2026, 2027, and beyond.
Josh, I always appreciate it, and look forward to catching up with you next Thursday.
All right. Thank you. Happy Easter.
Take care. Happy Easter. That is our Corley Pool Solutions Checkered Flag Challenge. No picks this week. We will get back into them next week. Reggie is taking the lead in that thing. 803-404-6100. We'll come back, put a bow on the show. It is the early game.
107.5 The Game in Columbia, 100.5 The Game in Florence, and 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. The Game Network, powered by Integrated Media. The Game TV, sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. For auto, home, and commercial glass, shepherdsglass.com. In Chapin and West Columbia, The Game TV, sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. Shepherd's Glass.
This is Bart Winkler with a Sports Minute. Colorado's Travis Hunter making waves, telling a reporter he'd rather not play football at all than be forced to pick between offense and defense. The fact some teams are making this a conversation in the first place is wild. It's not like he's great at offense and can do defense or vice versa. He's great at both. He won the Heisman because of it. Hopefully the team that takes him doesn't overthink things too much and lets us see his college success have a chance to transfer to the pros. I'm Bart Winkler.
I'm at a smoothie bar asking people if they'd switch smoothies with me for $574.
Oh, I'll switch.
So what about $574 if you switch your home insurance to Allstate?
That's a headache.
Nope, it's painless.
Oh, so it's easy money.
Yep, check Allstate first and you could save hundreds on quality home insurance today. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Not available in every state. Based on the national average annual savings for new home insurance customers surveyed in 2023 who switched to Allstate and reported savings. Savings vary.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why, when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Is your crawl space damp or musty? Water in your crawl space can cause wood to rot and creates an environment for mold and mildew that can make its way inside your home. Canty Foundation Specialist specializes in crawl space repair. Call us today for your free inspection so you can have the peace of mind knowing your crawl space is dry and your home is protected. Call today, 803-424-8380, or visit cantycanfixit.com. Alan Kennington, responsible for this ad. Office in 1440 Broad River Road, Columbia, South Carolina.
You're hurt. With over 85,000 cases resolved, 12 offices across the state, and over $1 billion recovered in just the past 10 years, you need South Carolina's largest injury law firm on your side. You need George Sink now. George Sink knows South Carolina, and George Sink lawyers will help you every step of the way on your recovery.
Get George Sink Law Firm on the line. Call 999-9999.
I can't sleep.
What is it now?
It's the company. It's chaos.
What's chaos now? The numbers, the expenses, the books. What if we get audited?
No one's gonna audit you at 3 a.m. Go to sleep.
I can't sleep.
You could if you used Ramp.
Who said that?
I don't care because they're right. Go to sleep and sign up for Ramp in the morning, Jerry.
Ramp is the corporate card that handles all your tedious financial operations automatically, integrates directly with your ERP, and gives you complete control over every transaction. Ramp gives you everything you need for bulletproof books and a better night's sleep.
Wow, that is exactly what my company needs.
Yes, and exactly what I also need. Go to sleep, Jerry.
Upgrade to Ramp for free today and get $250 at ramp.com/radio. Ramp.com/radio. That's ramp.com/radio.
Cards issued by Sutton Bank, members FDIC. Terms and conditions apply.
The Early Game with Bill Gunter, former Gamecock Preston Thorne, and Jen Jensen on the Game Network and on 107.5, the Game app.
Final segment of the show here as we roll along this morning. Been a lot of fun. Again, thank you to Brad Crawford for joining us this morning. Gave us a good kind of what he's hearing as we get you set for the spring game tomorrow night. Thank you to Jay Phillips down at the Heritage hanging out, and look forward to seeing him in the morning and going and watching some of the Heritage as they are underway down there. Again, still very, very early, obviously. But as Jay pointed out, the fact that it is a signature event now, and that means it's a much larger purse, $20 million to be handed out. Scotty Scheffler won last year and is back. He hit the opening tee shot. He hit it a little bit better. He did a little bit better than Preston does on his opening tee shots. They hit one into the Calabogie Sound, I believe is what they Jen, I don't know if you saw that. No, he hits it literally hit it into the Calabogie Sound, and they fire off a cannon as he's hitting it. Yeah, that's like the inaugural tee shot. But, yeah, it was really cool, and they are off and running down there today. Again, right now.
Does he use a range ball?
I think it's a Titleist.
Okay, just wondering, because if you're just expecting it to go in the drink, then
it's just
money's tight. I know for some of these golfers, so they don't want to use the good balls.
I'm assuming the Heritage maybe supplies the golf ball on this one, maybe.
I just get into the important stuff.
Maybe. Yeah, we'd like to stay in touch. Scheffler, by the way, goes off at 10:15 this morning. He'll be paired with Victor Hovland, Justin Thomas, and Corey Connors. Follow them at 10:25, and Shane Lowry and Jordan Spieth at 10:40. Former Clemson player Lucas Glover going off at 10:50 as well. Ricky Fowler going off at 11:10 is what ESPN has listed. I believe I saw on one of the sites that had Fowler going off earlier, but I could be wrong on that. But ESPN has Ricky Fowler listed as going off at 11 a.m. this morning. So anyway, it'll be a really fun day down there, and I look forward again to being down there tomorrow. And I'll be doing some call-ins about once an hour on the way. I'm actually not going down tonight, making the trip first thing in the morning. It's not going to be a sleep-in morning. I'll be up and on the road at 6 a.m. to get down there and take all that in.
Oh, are you staying for the weekend or just going down and coming back?
Staying tomorrow night, maybe catch a little bit on Saturday, and then get back. Since I really don't have time to do it, I'll wish my son a happy birthday. His birthday will be on Easter. He will turn 13.
I thought you said it was on his 27th.
20th, no.
Oh.
That's what I was saying. Thank goodness earlier you told me it's not. That my mind, for some reason, went ahead to next weekend because I know it'll be a busy weekend. But, yeah, happy birthday to Austin. He'll be 13 on the 20th. Steve Spurrier's birthday, by the way, on Sunday as well, on Easter, and I hope everybody has a great Easter. Again, baseball tonight, we will have it for you. We got a lot going on, as I mentioned. If you want to listen to Shane Beamer tonight, 5:30. Carolina Calls with Shane Beamer. So you can tune in, hear what he's got to say as it pertains to the spring game on Friday night. And then immediately following that, we will have the baseball game for you. There'll be no pregame. Shane will wrap up. We'll go right on into baseball. 6:30 first pitch tonight against Mississippi. the back half. I tell you what, Jen, let's play this again. I think we got enough time to do this. This is clip number 6. Let's get this in real quick, and then we'll wrap up the program. This is Paul Maneri talking about you never know what can happen in the second half of the season.
You just never know. When people start to figure things out, something happens and it flips the whole script. And, that happened with Mike's team that year. Hey, my last year at LSU, we got off to a 1-8 start. We ended up winning a regional in Eugene, Oregon, and going to a super regional. So, we've dug ourselves a big hole. There's no question about that, Derek. But like I said, we're going to keep fighting. You never know. You just never know what can happen. My second team at LSU, we were hopelessly out of it with 4 weeks to go. We didn't lose another game. We swept the last 4 series of the year and ended up being a national seed, winning the SEC West. So that's why you just never give up. You just keep battling right to the end. When the season is over, you have no regrets about the effort that you put in. Listen, we have an eye on the future, too. I only care right now about this team and what we're doing, but, the way baseball is, the way college athletics is, you're also recruiting at the same time as you are coaching this year's team.
Yeah.
And we're working feverishly hard on recruiting for next year's team. Now we'll have an opportunity, with being here in time to really do it right. When you get the job in a transition in sometime in June, you don't have much time. And, we were able to get a few pieces, Nathan Hall and Henry Kazmar and guys like Ashton Crowther have contributed. We were able to get some people that helped us, but when you can get a full recruiting class in, it makes a big difference because you're recruiting them to your style of play and what you're looking for in ball players. But in the meantime, listen, I've got a great group of kids, and they've been wonderful to work with. I love them all to death, and they're doing the best that they can, and we're going to do the best we can right to the very end.
Absolutely.
So, again, second half of the season gets underway. As I said earlier, probably need to go 11-4 in conference. Bare minimum. Absolute bare minimum. We'll see if they can do anything. Who knows? Obviously, you've seen the first 15 conference games like I have. So it's going to be an uphill climb. But never count them out, I guess. Always try and be positive. Y'all stay positive today. Have a great Thursday afternoon. I'm off to Cobblestone playing a golf tournament out of the chiropractic golf tournament. So I'm going to enjoy it. Jen, thank you for everything. I'll see you Monday.
107.5 The Game, broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevy Studios. You can save up to $20,000 on new Silverados. Stop by or shop online today and see how Herndon Chevy makes you smile. Together, let's drive.
Bill Gunner for Mid-State Roofing. We're for nearly 30 years. They have been the leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry. And it's that proven history that is your assurance that their team will get the job done for you in a safe, pleasing manner that works great for your operation. Whether it's your home or your business, you need someone who knows exactly what they're doing. And when I tell you Mid-State Roofing has been in business for over 30 years and been the leader for over 30 years, that's something that you know will be done and done properly. So give them a phone call, 803-356-1919. Again, that's 803-356-1919, wherever you're at in this great state. Charleston, Greenville, Aiken, Florence. Mid-State Roofing is there to help you. You just got to give them a phone call, 803-356-1919. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They're ready to help you. So don't wait. Give Mid-State Roofing a call today. You know what they say. If you've got a leak, let Mid-State Roofing take a peek.
This report is sponsored by Carolina Conditions Home Services. Carolina Conditions Home Services specializes in generators, drains, and electric car chargers, making them your one-stop shop for all your comfort needs. Visit their website at carolinaconditions.com or call 803-233-7172 for expert service you can count on.
Sponsored by Lumos Fiber.
Smart homes, virtual assistants, and AI. Imagine what the next 10 years will bring. At Lumos, we have. With 100% fiber internet built for the future, you're ready for whatever comes next. Plans start at $50 per month. Learn more at lumosfiber.com/.